like that. Yeah, the Twitters. I forgot. Yeah, we should do the Twitter sometimes. Yeah. I totally. We're live, by the way. Good morning, good night, and good evening, and
good night and good luck, and Merry Techmas.
What are you thankful for today, my friend? I don't know why I want to speak like that. I do apologize. Yeah, it's coming up by itself. It's not me.
Say own it and just go with it. I am on board. Some yes and.
Yes, of course.
Action.
Yes, of course.
I'm not going to join you on that accent because I feel it would be culturally insensitive for me.
It probably is because I don't know if I'm nailing the Arabic accent. That's the problem. I'm trying to channel a little bit of my mom, and if you're watching this, I do apologize. It is just a perception.
Also, TK's mom, if you're watching this, I too apologize.
Okay, well, so that's how it is.
If my mom's watching this, I feel like she'll be right in line. I don't know. So I mean, okay. Best of our week. What was sort of the best of our weeks? I had a nerdy ass conversation with my mom about her phone because she's on a OnePlus 6T. So okay. she's looking at like okay. So this is what's kind of funny, and especially for what we do on YouTube and tech commentary. Like we would both rationally say there's nothing my mom is doing that she needs more than a OnePlus 6T. Right.
I would imagine if I had to, if we were having this conversation about my mom and my mom, again, with all love and respect, and the OnePlus 6T, I think would have been more than enough for the thing. It is.
It's great.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of the camera, maybe, but still, in good lighting, it'll be great.
I'm even taking that into account because my mom is not. I mean, she's a very, very casual snap shooter, point and shoot kind of.
Okay.
Camera user, like very, very basic. I mean, even when Lex is there, I think she just kind of takes it for granted that I'll be taking the photos anyway. So she just doesn't even bother with like, let me take this new photo of my granddaughter.
Just send me the library. Yeah, go ahead.
But my dad is on an older Galaxy that's just kind of beat to heck, and he's thinking Pixel 4a. Like he doesn't really care about 5G. He's not even looking at the 4a 5G. He just wants the littlest phone, and he wants it to be cheap. He never uses the camera. The only game he plays is solitaire or like Spider, like card games. So
yeah.
But I think the fact that my dad's talking about a new phone, well, I mean, my mom could probably use a new phone too. And there's a special dock that she can get for her Tesla that can do wireless charging, but her OnePlus doesn't do wireless charging. So it's just funny because she's like kind of
the OnePlus 8T and the OnePlus 8 Pro for that.
So she's kind of like still geeky about it because she doesn't want a phone like everybody else's. She doesn't want an iPhone like all of the members of her like quilting and craft circles. She wants something that's a little counter. But she doesn't really need it, but she kind of wants it, but she doesn't really need it, but it'd be nice.
It would make things so much. Dude, this is exactly my rationale for buying things. Seriously, I convince myself, and even if I'm not really sure, I still somehow find the thing.
I'm just glad that you're joining LFA and I in becoming like a hardcore mainstream headphone reviewer now.
I'm all the headphones. I think people are going to think I'm copying El Jefe. So Jeff, all respect, all real respect. I was watching your AirPod Max video. Man, the dedication, the love that you have for this craft, I say, is very, very, very amazing. But yes, and I say this because right before the show started, I was telling Juan how so I got the XM4s. Obviously, I have the XM3s and I've used them for a while. So I got the XM4s myself because I wanted to check them out, and I really wanted to see if they truly did improve on what we had before. Yeah. And of course, as you guys all know, no plug, no shame. Or actually, no shame, definitely a plug. There's the new merch TK Bay channel. Please check it out. It's the new AirPod Max TK edition. Only $1,000. And you get a nice pair of gray AirPod Max.
Really?
It's a quick saving. It's for the holidays. It's for the kids.
Oh, so it's on sale for $1,000.
Yes, of course.
So you got $1,000 case for your AirPod. That's totally perfect because like that fits right in with like Apple's monitor stand and like the
absolutely
for the Mac Pro. I mean, that's the same price as
it's in the presentation. You present it, you own it, you sell it.
I love it. And so again, I feel like, especially for you to recoup the costs of reviewing Apple gear, then selling that kind of merch and those kinds of accessories, like especially at the sale prices.
At the sale prices of only available in limited quantities, very, very limited quantities.
So exclusive. I mean, that's another thing that you're paying for. Is it's probably not the quality, it's the exclusivity.
Definitely not the quality. I wouldn't go in here thinking you're getting, more than you paid for. It's definitely the other way around.
Exactly.
You're getting a lot less for what you pay for it.
But
because when you set the bar low, it's easy to
there
go.
won't be many, so you'll be of a very singular consumer for having spent that much money.
Always.
It's not about the actual thing. It's about sending a message.
Making a statement saying that the beard matters. Juan, come on.
We got Steve Q3 Becker. I'd buy that for my girlfriend's brassiere.
It is the Apple brassiere. Brassiere, purse, everything. Because if Apple is watching this, they're definitely going to have a laugh with us as well. Because that's what I aim for. I aim to please, and actually not bad. I do have to say though. I mean, all joke aside, with the casing and the really badly. Well, I don't want to bag on it. There's a lot of good things going on. Let's just say this much. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be when I was first seeing things.
I caught your video. I mean, this is why I'm so torn and why I'm not particularly stoked to try AirPods Max, like to take them for a spin, is for being $1 trillion company, the most profitable company, the company that makes the biggest and boldest claims, has the most influence over the consumer electronics sphere. It's that kind of tone. I get that tone from a lot of videos, and I'm not picking on you here because I really did like your first look video, and I hope that you do the follow-up because I really wanted to hear your thoughts on AirPods with Windows and Android. Like, is there something that could be interesting for someone on a non-Apple product to also kind of share AirPods with these other types of devices? But it just seems
any tech enthusiast, yeah,
exactly. I mean, because there are so many of us that speak multiple operating systems, right? So
absolutely.
You might have like a Windows workstation and a MacBook, or you might have an iPad and a Windows laptop. I mean, some combo. If Apple has a solution that could help fix, like make it really easy to move back and forth, I feel like that's a valuable commentary. But I just feel like for $550 before tax, and without a good case, without proper power management, without an adapter cable to plug them in if you want to use them on a cabled connection, there's a lot of grading the AirPods on a curve. In a lot of the videos I see, it's often like, well, I mean, they're not going to win audio quality, or they're not going to win for active noise cancellation against headphones that cost half as much. But if you're already in the Apple ecosystem, I guess this is blah, 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 blah. And I feel at $550 as a first-party solution from the wealthiest tech corporation on the planet,
that already owns a pair of a company that produces headphones. This is not by any means any new.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like the tone should be the opposite. We should be holding them to a higher standard that's commensurate with the price point, not, well, I guess there's literally nothing else anyone could use with their iPhones other than what Apple supplies. So they're pretty good, I guess. And it's that I'm having the hardest time emotionally dealing with that kind of goalpost manipulation. Like we're going to give Apple a consideration
exactly
that no one else gets.
No, because if Samsung did this, that everybody would be all over the place with them on it. And
deservedly, because Samsung makes these big bold claims, and then they're number one consumer electronics giant in terms of units sold, not in profitability, but in widgets sold to consumers. They're a powerhouse political force in South Korea. They deserve to be scrutinized at a higher tier, not given special considerations because they're the most popular. But I don't feel like we're ever that critical of Apple. Apple instead gets the opposite, where we still pretend like there's some kind of plucky upstart counterculture, think different kind of company. And that hasn't been true since, I don't know, dial-up.
It hasn't been. Yeah, you're right. The when you look at the way things are put together, you have to. You really truly have to think of how they're 2 steps ahead of you in what they're doing right now. What they're doing right now. No, seriously. I mean, once you get the product, or when you even just looking from the mythology of how they started their AirPods, they sold it to you without a charger. They sold it to you without a 3.5 millimeter connection, right? So those are all extras. They gave you a bad design on a case because they're going to be giving us a better case in the near future, which we will be glad to pay another $70 to $80 for.
Oh, and it's an opportunity for third-party accessory manufacturers.
Which that was the other thing. Apple products are notorious for third-party accessories. Where are they? Where are the accessories for the AirPod Max? It's not like they needed that much a head start for it. The reality of the matter is these. Okay, let me just say this. When we said at the beginning, I'm turning into you, Jeff, and yourself. It's because I got the
way more headphone gear than I do right now.
Not only that, every one of them comes with a decent size case, a case that actually works, a case that actually protects your device. I seriously, like, I don't even hang these on my chair. These headphones or any of the other headphones I have no problem. I hang them on the chair. I hang them on top of my thing. Sometimes I even hang them on the monitor. I have no problem. That fabric top, just drives me crazy. And every time I take him out of the case, I don't know if anybody ever mentioned this to you, but listen to this. It's called an Apple chime. This is exactly. And so every time I take them, they do that little. So I feel like at some point we're going to have a nice little ding growing on the corner. Anyways, it's me nitpicking. Overall, I don't think they should have released it at 600 or at the 550. Realistically, I think they felt like maybe they didn't know if it was going to work or not. They just like, hey, we'll just give it a price, and then people just bought it because it has the Apple tag on it, where it's an Apple product. But for what it offers, I didn't want my first video to go out basically just saying, hey, my XM4s sound a lot better. I feel like I enjoy the XM4s a little bit more. I like the options that I get because I feel like it's more of a heavy push towards the XM4s. That little setting that I was talking about in the video for just boosting a little bit of the performance on the audio, it does actually help. It does actually boost the audio, but surprisingly, it's a purely Beats / AirPods setting. It doesn't work on the XM4s because I had the XM4s connected to the 11 Pro Max, and no, it doesn't affect that at all. So it wasn't like they weren't lying. They were really very specific. This is a Beats boost, kind of an EQ, and a Beats and AirPods, and honestly, it could just be because of the style of music that I like to listen to and the performance that I expect from my headphones. I don't feel satisfied when I'm using them. Like, I like them. I enjoy listening to them.
So wait,
the audio isn't bad.
The AirPods or the XM4s? Sorry.
Oh, no. The AirPods Max. Yeah, no. Sorry. The XM4s, I've been ever since the XM3, I've been a very big supporter of the way Sony processes audio, the performance, and those headphones have improved so much over time. We got 360 audio added into it. We also have the adaptive ANC configuration to actually do kind of like a scan, an audio scan to basically measure how the ambient sound is to actually provide you the best ANC. We don't see any of that there. There's no configuration. So to me, I feel like where they're placing themselves up here, they're providing us a very, very lower performance. This is a very entry level, basic, what they've been doing for a while.
From what I've seen, and you've actually been using them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm again why I get bristly and emotional.
Yeah.
About
and Steve is saying it's even more in Canada. It's almost 780.
79 Canadian.
Oh man. Sorry, Steve.
Why I get kind of anxious when I start seeing this is there was a time where my $200 studio cans, and we're talking professional grade audio monitoring, mixing hardware, durable. You could take them out, location recording, field recording. You could use them in a studio. There was a time where at around $200, that was an extravagance. The idea that someone would casually drop $200 on that. Now, okay, adjusting for inflation, that takes us up into Bose territory, XM4 territory. And we've normalized this $300 tier as being nice. But
I think we've normalized it as being you should expect the best at that price point. The $300 to $400 price tag area.
Again, I don't think so. I would say over the last year with earbuds hitting $200 plus.
I was going to say earbuds bumped to the two, and yeah.
Now I feel like we have lobster potted up. And again, I'm very generally putting this out on consumers that are more influenced by $10 billion a year advertising campaigns than the folks that are watching our video right now. If those of you who are watching or listening to this podcast are bristling that like you're not included because you're listening to us already, we're already preaching to the choir. But I mean,
Absolutely.
generally, $300 now is kind of a good tier in the minds of consumers, and Apple's move up to $550 doesn't bring 80% better whatever. It seems to me like it's just pros and cons, but it's a very even feature fight against a $300 audio product. But Apple is going to be able to charge more because they dominate with their consumer base and with advertising campaigns. And again, that's going to have way more. This is something that we've had a big problem with. I don't know if you've ever tried to go down the sort of the rabbit holes of audiophile conversations, because they're miserable. It's proper bad. I mean, it's just a wasteland of selling the same kinds of amps and DACs and turntables and tubes and headphones and speakers and cabinets to the same consumers, because we're not growing audio. It's not a market that is finding new consumers. We're kind of just selling the same consumers different
over and over, because it's a lifelong type of, once you're hooked when you get on good audio. Yeah.
We don't have an advocate. We don't have, we don't have any figureheads in this space that cross over into more mainstream consumer mindshare. A company like Apple now becomes the bridge because they used to make the iPod, but they're not championing better audio. They're not. No. They're not celebrating their market position to provide consumers with an audio solution that matches the price where they are against their competitors,
where they're positioning themselves. Yes, they saw the market and they're like, we're one-upping, but they're not. No, I think it's a Josh is commenting in one of the comments. Josh put in the comments. He was talking about.
Correct. I'm totally kidding. Josh is probably more on point than most people I know.
Usually he's on point. I have to admire his vision into it. He said, but think of the commercial genius that Apple just did, pushing a pair of headphones right before Christmas that sold out immediately. They pull the strings and nothing's wrong with it, but it happens all the time, which is one of those kind of, truly, if you have to think of it as an opportunistic kind of situation, yes, it's a holiday time, it's Christmas, people are home, they're having to buy things online, they're probably not going to buy them from their stores, and they're right, they're sold out through at least, I would say, 3 months into next year. But at the end, so the goal, I mean, I was hoping.
Sorry. But to Josh's comment there, is what you've just described is a little exploitive. We know that we've got a core demographic of Apple consumers that are going to be our first wave of showing off the haves and the have-nots. They're going to create a desire or demand in this market. People aren't going to listen to those snobby audiophile headphone reviewers, and they're going to listen to the people that are talking more about, sort of brand identified consumer electronics. And from there, you create an artificial market for something that performs about as well as a product that costs half as much. But that product that costs half as much has a marketing budget 1/1000th the size of what Apple is going to throw at their consumer demos. And so to me, that's not, it's not that there's anything wrong with that. It's that it's still exploitive at this time of year and somewhat tone deaf, given the realities of the world we live in today and the people that are sort of struggling with their tech and their entertainment purchases. Someone might be inclined to pick up the AirPods Max as some kind of nicer purchase for themselves, and then also the thing that they'll rely on for school or for
For
work.
quite some time. No, absolutely. And there are some limitations too, because these are not.
Point, are we expecting any of these Bluetooth solutions to last, like the microphones we have or the headphones we have? You've got DT770s. I've got DT770s. I've got 15-year-old Sennheiser HD 25s that still work phenomenally well.
This guy, this little mic that's been around forever. I was going to say that was the other comment from Josh.
I have an original capsule Shure SM56, which was the transition mic. If you know the Elvis style mic, the one that kind of is shaped like a skull, that's the SH55. The SM56 has the same metal base. So all of the cabling runs through a hinge in the base, just like the SH55. That mic still sounds great. It's just a pain. I almost used a really bad word.
Almost cost us the video, man. You almost tanked the video.
The SM56 is really hard to mount on some type of arm like we're using because it's so much heavier. But that's a mic that could still go on stage today. And I don't believe I think they stopped making it in the late 60s, maybe early 70s. So an original capsule that's now 50 years old. I have zero confidence in any Apple audio product lasting half as long.
Absolutely. No. They have a planned obsolescence. That's clause number 9 in the plan. It's basically, they get you and they know exactly when to get it to turn. I did want to acknowledge real quick our Armadillo Tech, Texas. Oh, Armadillo Tech. Actually, I know them. I'm very sorry. I didn't recognize it before. I was like reading it, like Armadillo Tech. He says, he also builds up the iPulse guide, which is I think mostly cases for devices. And he loves the channel. Says hi to everybody. Checks out your website all the time. Thank you, man. Appreciate the support there. So yes, no. I think my initial. I was expecting more. I really I went into this expecting more, hoping for a higher standard, but I was very, very quickly. I would say greeted with more of a well-balanced audio profile. I mean, it wasn't bad. I don't want to go in thinking, or I don't want to misstate and say these headphones don't sound good. They do sound well. They have a lot of good. They don't overemphasize any specific part of the audio. It's clear, it's concise. You hit the treble, the bass is there. The bass isn't too heavy. You're not going to get that thump. And then I think that's where maybe the performance maybe hits a little bit. I felt like even with the 770s, I'm able to get more. Like the bass feels a little bit more. It feels strong, present in there. It doesn't bounce, but it was more pronounced. I think that's a better way to look at it. And I felt like even if I tried to listen to some type of EDM on the AirPods, I wasn't getting that. The EQ helped a little bit, but didn't really change much. So for me, I felt like it was kind of like a little bit of a letdown when I got them. So I'm hoping after a week, again, this is the first 48 hours. And I switched back and forth from both my Samsung over to it. So I wanted to kind of see what things did carry over. And we'll have to see. And then of course I have, the studios here, and then I have the XM4s as well to play around with. So I'll be listening to a lot of things. Unfortunately, I can't game with any of these. Oh, and you can't work out with the AirPods, so they're not good for workout. So that's another fun thing.
Although I've always been that guy. I've had the hardest time. I was out taking a walk around the neighborhood with Lex yesterday, and we're getting into like high 70s, low 80s here in Southern California, and I'm watching people jogging in like Beats, and I don't get that. That just looks so gross to me to be sweating. I feel like it's a pair of cans like that,
especially cans that these will absorb some of those too. It's not like it goes away because some of them have that absorption mesh. So it's more on a nice little side note. I ran with my Oppo headphones today because I was using my Find X2 Pro for my run. I forgot my the actual tips, the actual headphones themselves in my pocket, and I put my workout clothes in the laundry, and they went for a tumble.
Oh.
And I didn't realize it till I was watching something on the Find X2, and out of the blue, my audio goes to Bluetooth, and I'm like, what the heck? And I was like, oh, like that moment when you know what you did, that moment, and you're like, oh crap, I went out there and it was surely they're going through this. They still work. They went
Well,
through a
that's
full
good.
cycle. That's a
Great.
good durability test. You know,
That is a durability test that I will not be
I'm
replicating
yeah,
on.
yeah, and I'm not gonna. I would definitely not try it on these. I would not trust that this. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to.
Well,
I don't want to make the whole episode about Apple because I feel like if we go down that rabbit hole, we could be talking for
we got a
weeks.
question here from Fat Produce that I think is kind of fun. Would
Oh,
one be
Andrew's in there. Yeah,
better
yeah, yeah.
using better performing wired headphones with a good Bluetooth DAC, or something with less performance but more convenient features like built-in Bluetooth? And the thing that I would try to share, I would love for tech influencers and tech reviewers to start focusing more on finding the right fit solution for someone's needs, because both of those are viable, but there are
Yeah.
going to be some people that can't handle the Bluetooth DAC and having another pair of headphones connected to them. There are some people who are really going to thrive with a solution like that. But if we're not if we're not forthright, if we're not really good at honestly and consistently discussing the pros and cons of all those different solutions, then I feel like one solution gets lopsided coverage, and then the other solution's just compromises, and you miss out on sort of the full spectrum. Again, audio as an industry this equipment can last for decades. And so splurging on a really nice pair of headphones and then just swapping out Bluetooth components as necessary could be a phenomenal solution for someone out there who understands the nuance of that. And that's also where it makes me sad. Apple as a company has the marketing to help improve. So when the iPhone came out, it revolutionized consumer mobile computing. Apple deserves every bit of credit for moving smartphones into the consumer space, right? Before then, it was like Blackberries and Windows Mobile and Palm Pilot.
Well, it was exactly. It was iPads, Windows Mobile, 5 and Windows 5.1. It was primarily a very small business sector. It wasn't a consumer. You weren't looking at your, as your next purchase, like everybody talking screen. Now, nobody would even consider a feature phone that doesn't have a clamshell. What is a clamshell phone, man?
So Apple did something really special, not in delivering any radical new technology. Apple took a collection of intimidating technologies and delivered them into a package that was significantly more accessible. Apple could do that with audio, but they choose not to.
Yeah.
EarPods are not it. AirPods are fine. They're good communicator buds, but they're not audio equipment. And even with these AirPods Max, I kind of feel the same way. Like the missed opportunity here isn't, can Apple do something profitable? It's that Apple could do something just as profitable, but then engage in a consumer conversation that would help improve not only audio quality, but also hearing health. And instead, I feel like Apple is perfectly content to subsidize your hearing health for their profits. And now the AirPods Max will help a little, probably better cans, better ANC, but for half the price, if you were really concerned about that noise reduction to audio quality conversation, again, Bose, Sony, any number of other sort of
Jabra's in the field as well, and you got Microsoft coming in there as well. I mean, everybody's in there.
There's so many options and solutions in here where at some point people thought, well, $300 is a really premium price, and now $550 is like, I mean, it's
no. I'm still having a hard time with that. I paid that much money. I mean, it's like I said, I was truly hoping that my impressions of these were going to be a lot more on the positive note. But again, I need to give them a little bit. I don't want to be the, I open up, I put them on my head. I was like, okay, now this is just trash. So no, I still like my XM4s. I paired my XM4s straight into the same device. I wanted to make sure I was listening to the same audio from the same file, and the same quality. I made sure I went back and re-upped my Tidal service. I want to make sure I get good audio on my iPhone. Play mastered audio, just to make sure to get the best that I can. Spatial audio, I have to say, is a little bit of a trip. It was interesting. I tried that out with them, but nothing that I would have been like, wow, I got to have this in my next headphones. It's more, yeah.
Josh threw out the sidekick. So before the
Yeah, the sidekicks.
I don't know. I mean, if
Sidekicks was
do you want
sidekick
to throw
was.
Josh an invite? He's probably well liquored up if he wants to
I don't
jump in.
know, Josh, dude. Let me know. I'll throw the. Let me do this.
If you want to kick him one, you can throw
I will throw Senor Josh.
Because I haven't had a good chat with Josh in a while. To have a good conversation with a mildly inebriated Josh would be good times.
Let's see. The night is young, and so are we, my friend.
I feel so young, but not.
The night is young, and you're so beautiful. Sorry. Anyways,
I feel like this last year was the longest decade of my life. But this show is not the cranky Apple Ranch show. You're totally
no. I'm trying not to do it. Yeah, it's one of those. It's Techmas, guys. Happy Techmas. We are almost at the end of the year. I say that because we are literally days away from Christmas, or Techmas, as I would probably say, where we all kind of emptied out our pockets for so many different things.
So end of year and whatever denomination or background you might have, it's just that time of year that we all sort of celebrate the closing of one time period and move on to the next time period. And often that is celebrated with some kind of passing of gift from one individual to the other. I wanted to ask you, buddy, kind of put you on the spot here,
Senor.
Given our backgrounds and given what we do on YouTube and stuff, did what was tech a heavy component in your gift giving this year?
In general, tech is always a heavy thing. I feel comfortable giving tech to friends and family, if that makes sense. I feel that, to me, I'm a very pragmatic, practical. I like to do things. I like to either offer, recommend, or give something that serves multiple purposes. And in general, yes, I would say, with the exception of, I think, I can't say what I got my mom, but anyways, I don't know. I mean, she could be listening to this 2 seconds later. It's like, you got me what?
I apologize so much for the show that you're watching right now.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those. TK spilling the beans on all the gifts. I do generally do. Yes, it was actually I would say definitely heavily tech focused, if anything else. How was yours? I would assume, Senor, gadget in the name could be a gadget giving man.
We went kind of rugged low tech for a lot of gifts this year. I can't say who in our family, but there are kind of trends. Last year, everyone in my family got really nice, really nice sort of Chinese label earbuds.
Ooh,
so
okay.
Right.
Oh, the custom ones.
Not the custom molds.
Oh, not the custom molds. Okay.
I did like a lot of different kinds of multi-drivers. So it was just the attempt was to try and get, like, from my siblings and my parents, like, what kind of music they're listening to, what kind of things they like. They're not really they weren't really tapped in to audio, so it was more like trying to get out of them. It was really difficult because I'd ask one of my family members, well, what do you like in music? Like, do you like really bass heavy? Do you like sort of a bit more sparkle? Do you like hearing the razor distortion on guitars and rock? What is it that you're listening for? And they're like, well, I just like it to sound good. I don't know, maybe if the music just doesn't sound like utter garbage, that's pretty good. So it wasn't very, very good investigative journalism on my part, but everyone kind of got different kinds of earbuds or headphones, and it was just the general theme. This year, Marie and I were really feeling pocket knives.
I like pocket knives. By the way, thank you, Aditya. I love that. Yes, TK, our singing guy, singing band. I don't know what it is, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. I am extremely tired. It's been a roller coaster of things going on. We talked about it last week, but I don't want to let Josh wait too long. We do have him sitting on the sidelines. I do want to say, first and foremost,
hey,
and he is what? Oh man, okay. Cheers, my friend. Right out the salute, my friend. Salute.
Cheers, everybody. Now, to be fair, not fair, to be honest, this is the first glass, so I'm not fully liquored up, but I do have a glass here.
So you're not ahead of us. Okay, okay, good, good, good.
So I would actually like to extend this to you too, and especially with kind of family and friends and loved ones as spread out as we all are these days. Was your gift giving strategy techier than it would have been in years past, or because we've all been so Zoom call focused, did you feel like you had to kind of broaden?
It was the best way for me to put it is that it was at the very least very Amazonian because it had to be.
Yeah.
So what happened?
That's pretty wild. Definitely.
So what happened was over the last like 4 or 5 months, obviously, like all we've been doing is getting all I've been doing is getting a lot of products that I then end up using in front of family members who come, like, because those are the only people that I've been around, or my family members. Like my brother lives in another place now, and he visits here and I visit there, all that stuff. So yes, in a way. So because of the work that I do, it ended up being that items that I either got to review or try it out myself, they look at it and they're all like, it's pretty cool. So then over the last week, said items just start to appear on their doorstep.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Surface Duos for all.
But this is the thing, we're a very foodie family, as you both know.
Yeah.
Dude, great recommendations, Josh. Oh my God. I've been on this every time I see him when we talk, there's some type of new snack that he's been putting me on or some type of stuff. So if your waist needs attention, then only enjoy his Instagram. But yeah, no, sorry.
The most I want to say the most effective gift has been an indoor smokeless grill, because we all miss Korean barbecue. And I randomly found on TikTok a solution for that. So when we used it here in the house, I told my brother, if you like it, I'll get it for you and your wife. And he just looks at me, and after we ate, he just looks at me and he goes, do it.
No, I've been very chuffed with a couple members on my Discord. We've all been sort of kind of poking around on Instant Pots. Like that was the big purchase for us kitchen tech this year. Was I used to have an old school pressure cooker, and I would love making a couple things in that, but it's kind of a little bit more difficult. You got to get it going in just the right way. Cooking with it is an art as much as it is a science. And like this Instant Pot's just like, hey, dump a bunch of stuff in and push some buttons and go.
Yep,
so leave it. Very exciting.
Every Asian doesn't realize that they've grown up with pressure cookers their whole lives, and they were called rice cookers.
Dude, I didn't realize that rice cookers had a lid on the top of the cover. Did you know that?
What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't
okay, so since you brought in TikTok, sorry, to preface this, okay, so I obviously have an Asian household to a certain extent. We have the rice cooker. The big rice cookers, okay? If you've watched TikTok enough, you should have run into this video where they tell you that the top of your lid there's actually a metal cover that actually pops open. You're supposed to be able to take that and cover if you want to leave the lid open, but cover the rice. There's just some crazy stuff. TikTok is just a wormhole of.
I'm not entirely sure that that's a real thing. That I think it's
at least my mom. Let me confirm this.
I think it's a content farm, like, oh, you've been using this wrong this whole time, and you're like, no, actually, that was BS just to make a Russian.
There is a lot of content on TikTok, especially these days, that makes no sense to me. Like, people are just doing random crap.
And I've been going down those those terrible like YouTube rabbit holes of like debunking the debunk videos. And
man, in reaction to the
the reaction to the debunked reaction debunking video.
You could be I agree. I don't necessarily. I would not recommend TikTok as the most innovative place. But I have learned a few things.
Well, not to derail things too far, but I just want to real quick. I don't want to go too far without remembering, or I don't want to go too far without saying thank you for having me on, because
Oh.
I was just into chat and I was just like, oh yeah, this will be fun, because like so first of all, Aditya in the chat will appreciate this. I just watched the last episode of Sherlock with my parents. Like we
Nice.
just watched it. I've been telling
okay.
them for years to watch it, and they finally watched
Excellent.
it. But anyway, after
And
that
of course, you
was
say
done,
that because
that's
right there,
his avatar,
Senor
yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch. Yes.
Yeah. So after that, I just got on my phone, the phone I'm reviewing right now, and yeah, I saw your stream, so I just started saying what's up in the chat.
We're trying to get this thing going, the best of our week chat. So we start. Juan reacts, and we're getting some nice hashtags going on in the comments as well.
Reaction guy. I'm all about those reaction videos. It's just the most premium, high quality content you can ask for.
And the best singing that we can definitely muster here at 11 or at 10. I don't know what time. It's something. Yes.
You never coined a name for like a ranty thing, huh, Juan?
No, I never really did. I've just always been kind of the old cranky guy on my reviews. I went back and watched a bunch of old stuff because I was like, someone got under my skin, and they shouldn't have, and I should have let it kind of, just sort of, kind of off my back. But someone's like, oh, now you really care about this, and I had to go back like 8 years ago. I was talking about this thing that I don't like, so you're way behind. And then I realized 8 years ago I was cranky and complaining about the same things that I'm cranky and complaining about.
It's okay. I'm getting accused left and right for like, not really like not to bring it back to the AirPods Max, but you did talk about Apple earlier. I was the Android guy. I was literally the Android guy, and I just put out 3 Apple videos in the last week or so. So people are accusing me left and right of like, okay, now you're a fanboy. So
Josh's channel is switching over. That's it. It's going to be Josh's Apple's. Oh, dang it, Josh, Apple product guy.
But tell me, guys. I mean, like, again, I don't want this to be the. I'm going to stop saying I don't want this to be the thing that it is when we're actually in the middle of doing it. But
can we acknowledge one quick thing before we go too far, guys? The microphones we're all using.
yes,
because we all have excellent taste in microphones.
Okay.
All coming from you, man. You started this. This is all you. You did this to me, and then I was talking to Josh. I'm like, dude, I swear by it. Let me just send you the link. This thing works. Just take it out, connect it, and just.
So if anything, in 2020, I learned so much about audio. Like I have 2 different interfaces, one for here and one for the office, which is so opulent. But I ended up getting condenser microphones. Like it's okay. I'll vamp while TK fixes that. And
yeah, lighting problems. Hey, we're doing it.
Moody in here. I love it.
When they said TK after dark, they weren't joking.
Right.
Yeah.
But I learned about pencil condenser microphones, and that's what they use for A-roll dialogue. But the thing is, I started doing gaming videos again and podcasts, of course, and that was when I asked TK what microphone he's using, and lo and behold, it's a dynamic rather than a condenser mic. This is going to get very nerdy, guys. But what I wanted to do was, I like things that are multifaceted, or rather can have multiple uses. So I had to learn what to do to this mic, the SM57, to make it also my A-roll mic. Because you're the one who projects your voice. I don't do that. With the TK, I don't do that. So I had to get a Fed head that's actually connected down here and like up the gain, and now it's right here in the frame. But when it comes to podcasts and streams like this, it's in the correct spot. And I love dynamic microphones because I can do stuff like this and just go in and out, do the mic gags and all that stuff. Some Bill Burr lady, like that kind of stuff.
Or you just come in real like ASMR and you get that back of the throat texture going.
God help us all. Oh my God, this show is going downhill fast, man.
Where's the salmon skin? You got to crunch one on the on the mic.
Un momento, my friend. Un momento. I will return. You talk amongst yourselves. Yes, I will return.
So I can actually give you the story. TK, knowing that his wife is what's the term? Hong Kongese. So she would know certain cuisines that I am really into. So I asked him, does she know about salted egg seasoning? And it's a very popular in Singapore mainly, but it's a very popular seasoning. It's literally like egg yolk, like think hard boiled egg, but you take the yolk out and then you mix that in with herbs and spices, and that becomes your seasoning, your dry seasoning.
Okay.
So in Singapore and in Asia, they put that on a lot of snacks. One of which is like fried fish skin, and this company Irvin's has been very
Hashtag not
popular.
sponsored, but if you want, please.
This brand is really popular. There's like 3 brands who make fish skin and salted egg snacks out in Asia, and one of them finally came to the US. I'm so happy.
It's good. It's good. It's really, really good.
What? Okay. I shouldn't be mugging and making faces because my people eat like chicharrones and
I mean, yeah, come on.
So what does this taste like? Salted.
That's what it tastes like.
Okay.
It tastes like this bag that I just opened is going to disappear in about 4 minutes.
No, it's like, I don't know, the douchiest way I can put it right now is very umami. Like it's very
Again, wearing that cap, drinking the beverage that you're drinking
I'm from LA too.
on a 1960s style dynamic microphone
On a Wednesday night.
and romancing the umami of something is exactly what I needed for tonight. I needed that in my life.
I'm almost blushing. That's how embarrassed I am about what I just said.
You're blushing. I'm turning like a tomato at this point. I'm like dark. I'm gonna be redder than the bag, man.
Okay, but I'm kind of curious. So a very sort of rich, complicated.
Yes.
But I mean like fishy, because I would imagine.
Not as much. It's for if you've ever had salmon, either barbecued or anything like that. If you've ever had the salmon skin crunchy, it's the texture itself. It's a crunchy salmon skin, but what makes it so much better is that they use a salted egg, which is a very Asian typical, like salty egg, fermented egg that has a lot of obviously very salty in nature, but they add some seasoning to it, which makes it not as strong with a flavor, but it complements the chips.
It's not like a Mediterranean style fish sauce.
No.
It's very much. It's very not. It's actually not very salty. It's actually got a tiny bit of sweetness to it. Instead of like the typical combinations of sweet, sour, salty, or whatnot, it's actually sweet and spicy.
Mm-hmm. It's really good. And the chips version, which was the other one that Josh threw me on. I swear, like every time I talk, like so when Josh now calls me and he says, "Hey TK, have you thought about tried these one?" Like I didn't even. By the time it was done by the sentence, I said I already put in an order. I'm like, "What is it?"
Yeah, that's true.
We got 6 bags last week, guys. This is the last one.
I did the same thing. I got a whole box of them when they were announced.
It's crazy. So the potato chips are more addicting, I feel like, than the salmon skin, because you get that it's almost like the chips, the crunchiness of the chip that you ever so nice and savory there, and I feel like the coating that they did on the chips is a little bit more savory. It's not as spicy. It's savory and cheesy kind of, but basically, you taste the salty egg more on the chips, I feel like.
Scrappy Coco over on the Twitch side says, "I hope they have this at H Mart. I'm about to make your day. They have a whole aisle of them now." That's how
they're all over. 99 Ranch, like a good number of them that they actually are in store.
This is one of those items that when people tell me what's the best part about traveling, it was one of these, because it was the only way I could get it. It was if I could go to Hong Kong or any of the airports in Asia, because it's not a very common thing. Even in Asia, you have to go to either Hong Kong or Singapore for the most part to get those. But man, now the fact that they were able to come here, and that's the thing, they usually use other fish skins for it, but to operate in the US, they had to specifically make salmon. So
we got to make this happen, guys. Mukbang. Let's just get a mukbang going next week.
Yeah,
we'll call it the holiday. End of the world episode.
I would love that. I mean, I would love to do
like
mukbangs.
New Year's. We should do like a whole snack food show.
And Rolando's in the comments. Hey man, how you doing? But yeah, no, absolutely. And there was this whole.
Oh, Rolando, I have your clip. I'm almost done editing your clip. I'm so sorry.
By the way,
I clipped him on time. I'm
so sorry.
Same thing, Ronaldo.
Issa just told me that she sent her clip in yesterday, and I'm like, don't show me up. Like I gotta get my clip in.
On that note,
that's actually one of the things the whole show is best of our week, and I wanted to say, I mean, like especially kind of not getting to see anyone this year, and I didn't go to CES this year.
That's true.
These collaborative videos, like getting to do yours, TK, Nick, Fandroid.
Yep, saw that one. You guys did great. Yep.
I know we're not really working together on those, but it just kind of felt nice to be included and to kind of see what everyone else was up to, because also I kind of felt this was a really strong year for not everyone having the same answer to every question.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
This year felt really, really dynamic for having a few more options and a few more things that people could kind of point
A few
to.
comebacks. There's a few comebacks this year that I was very surprised and very happy that a couple of companies are doing much more to bring back more their glory. I feel like the good, the innovation, the things that their fans wanted. So I was very happy to see that. But I hope next year is definitely we'll get into a point where we're able to hang out again and actually do more events. I miss travel this entire year. I feel I'm going to sound like I'm privileged and everything,
especially because we're this. I mean, again, it's hilarious because we're the Southern California crew right here.
I was waiting for that to come up.
We never see each other in Southern California.
Well, you know what? You two are in you're in a region. I'm the one who's all got to be in
he
the
moved.
different area code.
He didn't like me. He moved further. He said he doesn't want to be that close.
I'm starting this conversation now, and I'm starting it in earnest. And I want to tap like Jaime, and I want to tap Enabong, just to make up for this last year. January 2022. I would like to recommend we all look at maybe some ranches or resorts off the Vegas Strip.
Oh.
I imagine we might have a CES. Like some kind of in-person component to CES in 2022. Yep. And then we all plan the days after CES. We all spend 5 days R&R with our families.
Just a lot of this.
And just a lot of that. And we can all eat ridiculous amounts of food and catch up. And
it's just whiskey and salmon skin. Just
and smash burgers. No. And we got to bring in that we have In-N-Out. You got the best burger places. So if there's anything else, Uber Eats or Postmates.
I thought you were about to say you were going to move there, because I would not be surprised, because so many people from California are moving to frickin' Vegas.
No, we're so tied in with the video game industry out here. We can't make the hop to Vegas right now. If you were to really pin my wife down, we'd be saying like, how could we maybe get to the UK or the EU? But really, we're probably going to be Los Angelinos for a time yet. But I'm serious. Like, I want to have those kinds of conversations with you and with some of our other friends, and put that bug in your head. If we plan this a year in advance, I'm sure we can make something cool happen. Where even if it's just like a good 3-day weekend after the show,
I love that people keep saying karaoke.
Hang out and
Aditya is on a roll. He woke up early, so good morning. First of all, Sabaho Aditya.
I don't know. I'm all about some karaoke too. My bust to move is very formidable. So
you just got a Filipino has entered the chat. Is all I'm saying. So.
all things amazing Asian cuisine, snacks, and everything. Like I said, when he mentioned them to me, it was he fed off of a few things, because I love the food. I mean, I actually like salty fish in a dish. There's a fried rice a dish one of my favorite ones that I like to pick up. And it smells bad. Believe me, you wouldn't even come close to it if you smell it, but it tastes amazing. It's that smell. The moment you get it, it's one of those things.
We are not gonna talk about it, but I'm gonna mention it. Ishmael is just trying to say Five Guys is better than In-N-Out. You're talking to 3 Los Angelinos over here.
Okay, so here's the deal.
Okay, come on now.
No.
We're about to go sideways.
My family is a very conflicted household. I need your sort of your thoughts and prayers here. If you pin down my 5-year-old daughter, she has very strong opinions on why Shake Shack is the best burger you can get. She's 5. My wife, absolutely Southern California girl, In-N-Out all the way.
I like it.
I kind of like Five Guys for the fries.
The fries are not bad.
Not the burger.
The fries are not bad. And Five Guys, I have to give credit for making something called a burger bowl.
Yes.
Like, it's nice that they do that.
Now
that doesn't make it better than
no. But if I'm really like Burger Bowl is nifty, but I like protein style at In-N-Out way better. And it's way easier.
Yes.
Oh man, yes.
But here's the thing. We are all Southern Californians. Santa Barbara is a very, very hard stone's throw away. Because the word stone's throw came in, and I'm like, okay, it's not that close. But I will say, because of the Santa Barbara connection, there is one right answer that everyone hopefully can agree on, is that if you're looking at In-N-Out versus Five Guys, you actually don't know your ish, because you haven't been talking about the habit, dude. You haven't been talking about
grilled
the
onions.
habit.
I live. I can throw a stone out of my house and hit a habit. That's how close we are. And Omar, my son, loves them.
For the Southwest, because it's like every other year they'll also pick up a batch of New Mexican green chili. Yep. So not only can you get your SoCal grilled onion burger, you can also
get Santa Barbara. They're classic too.
A little New Mexican flair on it too. So especially someone from the 505, I'm all about putting a little heat on my cheeseburgers.
Hell yeah.
And Habit will hook it up where no one else here will. But no, it's funny. Like the three of us, we have to take turns picking our burger place because we all.
Well, it's just so funny to me because it depends on your upbringing. This really turned into a not tech show, but the
it truly isn't supposed to be purely. I mean, I know it kind of went on Apple at the beginning, but this is more.
I will take full responsibility. I'm the one who came in here with a couple.
We were talking about Apple at the beginning, so it still wasn't a tech show.
But here's the thing. Like, Oh wow!
Oh, okay. On that note,
the fanboy is offended. So here's the thing: like, what I find so funny about the conversation of Shake Shack versus Shake Shack and Five Guys and all that. Whenever the versus follows with In-N-Out, here's the thing: our upbringings and the way that we grew up and the way that we are here in SoCal is very important, because you tell me which burger my parents would be able to afford when I was between the ages of 5 and 15. It was In-N-Out, and that's it. Because those other burgers, the reason why people keep trying to compare them is because In-N-Out at that price is still the most memorable burger at that price.
Five Guys is twice as expensive for lunch.
Oh,
exactly.
Oh no, absolutely. And it's no. I mean, I've seen them, and if I ever find an In-N-Out, I always try to make my way. Vegas, I've always missed it, but last time when Juan and I had a chance to go in, and we had every time we used to hang out for the last, not this year, but like 2019 and 2018, we always try to catch a burger, try to have a meal, and just sit down and kind of hang out. So it's crazy as it is, but In-N-Out for me. My son loves. Yeah.
On that note, Juan, you're talking about having like a ranch or something or whatever after CES. I have sort of begun a tradition at CES, and this is my on the record formal invitation to the two of you. I have a thing called family meal during CES. At some point during one of the nights, we just go to a really dope restaurant, and our combined sort of, I don't know what the right term is, but our combined incomes, I guess, will help us have a really high quality, like almost a meal that we shouldn't have. But because we work so hard at CES, we're basically all having that meal together. I will also, because I'm about halfway through my first glass of whiskey here, I'm just loosened up enough to admit that last year family meal went from having a few people to having way too many people. And there's a problem.
It was a family.
It was a big family. There's a problem with me though, where when I'm inebriated enough, my level of inebriation also increases my level of generosity.
Oh, I don't mind that. Keep going.
Let's just say I paid for that whole meal, and wow, like sober me would have had a heart attack, but drunk me was like.
Okay, well, can I recommend then? Because I am not a fancy individual, and when you say family meal, if it's Vegas, I would put in a like tacos el gordo.
Oh no, we go. This here's the thing though. That's always on the menu, regardless of family meal or not. So at any given CES, I've gone there like 5 times.
You could just drop off Juan right there. Come back and pick him up later.
So we are on the same page, my friend. Hell yes.
Okay, good.
I love it.
because that was the last time I went, I was sitting next to Patrick Norton, and he was just like, oh yeah, and let me tell you about hockey, and let me tell you about speakers, and he's like, because I can eat, and the dude put me to shame.
Nice.
And I don't know. I mean, it's her. I'm sure both of you have seen me in like, again, cheap food, taqueria style. Like, it's like, I got my 3 little tacos. I got to go like 5 times.
You know what the thing is too? We got to do it right, where it's not just Tacos El Gordo. It's Tacos El Gordo off the strip. We got to go to the one that's like in like not really downtown, but it's in that direction, where it's actually like you can sit and like you can eat, and there's people around you, because that's how popular it is. So like, yeah.
And then when you're done, we swing over and get some Krispy Kreme, because you got to kind of round it off. That's just my thing. If you're going to be downtown,
something I'm a donut guy. So
well,
you have to compensate a little bit.
I'll run there.
No. You'll run because you'll need the exercise at the end of. Vegas has always been, oh man, I do miss Vegas a lot. That's one of those things I really miss.
Someone made a distinction one time that I think I usually feel like the only person who enjoys Vegas, and then I think it was Issa or somebody who's not from Cali, who said you like it because you're from LA. It's because it's right there. Everyone else has to go through the slog to get there, flights and all of these things and all that. And you're used to it because at any point you could just get in your car and drive 3 hours to get away.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
Although, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I was so proud of myself this year for like, I'm taking a CES off for the first time in like 12 years. I'm giving myself a break. This is going to be great. Little did I know, like, this would be the last time I'd ever see my friends. And
you were setting a precedence. You're like, yep, 2019, 2020.
2020 was all my fault, and I apologize. I broke a streak, and the universe punished us all for it. But it is that. I love getting in my car. I love the desert drive.
Yes.
Going
it's
from LA
the right
to
car.
Vegas.
Yes.
Yep.
And I love leaving Vegas. Putting Vegas in your rearview mirror and bumping some tunes and thinking about like all this stuff. And you've got like I've got a trunk full of just crap from the show floor that I'm gonna have to sort through, and business cards to follow up with, and like, and like, I'm singing at the top of my lungs to stay awake because I'm probably a little too tired to be driving, but it's still an amazing drive. It's that entire bookend experience that I'm really sad I didn't do it this year.
And what do you do? Dynamic mic trick. And what do you do when you hit Barstow?
Well, first of all, you go to the Flying J.
Okay.
So you get gas at the Flying J because it's almost always like 40 cents cheaper than the Shell or the Exxon.
But what do you eat?
Where do you go?
Okay, so you'd be disappointed. The last time we hit that Barstow stop, we did Panera because I was with my daughter and she really wanted a mac and cheese.
I was going to say In-N-Out.
It's the only place to get a mac and cheese.
For man.
but I know what you're going for. I have to be honest. The last time we were there, I was with a 3-year-old and she wanted mac and cheese. So
okay, that's fine. I mean, the only person I have in my car at any given time is Issa, and she'll eat anything, so it's okay. Whether it's the Habit or In-N-Out, or actually, I know a good Mexican spot in Barstow. It's actually off that area. So,
seriously?
Yeah.
That's new.
Yeah,
that'd be down. But yeah, so I mean, that's always my favorite little trick though. Is it's usually In-N-Out, and then we go and gas up at the Flying J. But if you've got a good Mexican spot, I'd totally take you up on that.
That's pretty good.
Because Barstow's not that far. I'm just gonna sorry,
I'm a ranch in Barstow. We'll just do that.
Exactly. Get the ranch there. It's easy.
Worst idea ever. Aditya, by the way, I can beat that actually. I have eaten over a dozen of those tacos at Tacos El Gordo in one sitting. I have done it.
My worst night at Tacos El Gordo was 9 of their. Actually, it was an assortment, but it was 9 tacos and then the entire styrofoam container of smothered French fries.
Oh, cheers, my friend.
I did not. I felt awful in the most amazing way. It was glorious and tragic all at the same time.
I need it for any, like, honestly, Tacos El Gordo, 5 of them before any CES party, you're good to go. Because those parties, to our audience, just so you know, this tech crew, it can get pretty nuts at CES. Let me just say that.
It's like we've got so much steam to blow off.
Exactly.
It gets silly.
And that's what we like about it, though. It's the fact that it is crazy, the fact that we are going nonstop, going one spot to the other. I feel like those are the things I miss about Vegas. It's that constant excitement, the one thing next to another. This double book timing, really close up Josh on the camera without any kind of heads up first. Like
I
what's
just
up?
I just noticed I was in a tighter aspect ratio, so I had black bars above me and below me. So I just wanted to fix that. So I just changed out of Cinema 4K. I'm just saying.
Josh doing the TikTok in the middle of the show. What's up, man? It's called Facetune. No,
what's the one that they do the transition with this move and
Oh,
this weird move, the dice roll. I hate the dice roll so much because no one does it right.
No, it's just a rabbit hole. I think somebody called it right for the first time. It just goes in there and you just never go out. Like 45 minutes just disappear every time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Tapas can be fancy. Look at that. Juan jumping in the comments.
Right well, there. JJ was saying, he's got
a new place,
a new Mexican place near him that's pretty rustic. And I gotta say, I mean, when it comes to
El Toro, yeah.
I feel like there's a certain tier of like street or vendor style food that just fits so well with Mexican and Mediterranean and like you could get it off the back of a tiny little cart that's pushed by someone walking down the street.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
there is an idea of making it really fancy. Like you can make this a very sit down, pretty kind of cuisine, but it's most accessible as a very rustic is a very polite word. I'm trying not to use like descriptors of like economic disparity, but my people's food I think is best when it's a simpler focus on a particular set of ingredients rather than trying to make it more of like a star, 3-star, 4-star dining experience. And so I'm all about like, a tapas restaurant kind of brings with it an air of small plates and portions in a much nicer atmosphere. A taqueria is like, I want to see like a trompo and a giant grill, and that's it. And plastic lawn chair furniture is the best to sit in.
Typical, yep.
Shove tacos into your face.
Like those situations are best when you're sitting among the people still trying to get in.
Yeah.
Right, and then you're eating your tacos. You just look up, you see somebody looking at you. It's like walking through first class, like just looking at you, like
that. Yep. You were one of the people trying to get in, just like staring daggers at the person who already had their food. I mean, It's just the circle of life.
It's just turning so vindictive in so many quick direct. I get it. I know. I want to say I've actually tasted them once, but I've never been, and I feel like now I missed out on a big part of this. So I will be making a point.
Have we not gotten you to Tacos El Gordo?
I haven't gone with you guys. I want to say I had them once from
I brought you, right?
Exactly. Josh is the one who.
No one sees me at CES without me telling them.
Walking around and no, totally. And he came back and in short form he gave me, and I was like, it was really good. But I never had a chance to go back and circle back to bring some more. That was mostly what it is. I want to go, and I definitely would probably easily clean, 10 to 12 more than likely in. But yeah, no, but those are the things. So, it's weird how we have associations of memory, good times, and food. Food for us is a very, very strong memory imprint into us. Like, grabbing a piece of food can instantly transport you to your childhood, the right piece of food. So for me, In-N-Out does that all the time. And I know it's a staple. It's exactly as good today as it was 20 years ago, the first time I had it. And I'm just very, very happy that my son loves it and he craves it. Every once in a while, I'd be like, we got to go to In-N-Out.
To be fair, my daughter does like In-N-Out, but it's hilarious watching this sassy little 5-year-old break it down for you.
Mm-hmm.
Again, she is definitely her father's daughter, where she has a contrarian streak and she is very precise for her reasons on why she likes and doesn't like things. She's shooting on micro four thirds. I've got a little Kodak camera and she's hooking it up on that. And she's telling me about the lenses because I've got a couple different micro four thirds lenses. And again, well, this is the one that I need because if I want to shoot a video for Nani and Grandpa, I need it to be able to focus on my face, and it doesn't focus if my arms aren't longer. And like, oh my God.
Look at that, dude.
Influencer in training right there.
Right there. It's like, you want to get that focused? You want to get that crispy footage? Get the right millimeter front. Come on, man.
She's already like, 5 years old pulling off Team Crispy dialogue. So when you ask her about a cheeseburger, she knows what she's talking about.
She knows the cheese. I can appreciate that, and I my hat's off if I was wearing one. Since you guys both are wearing hats, I would say definitely for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
TK's reading my message because I saw that Juan was trying to tell TK, and now I'm.
And I thought I did, and I thought Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I lowered the wrong level. I was lowering the wrong thing. Yeah. Sorry. I think I might.
You were just coming in. Speaking really of hot. A little crispy.
Very.
Getting a little sizzly, so I just thought you'd want to know.
That was the end of our ASMR session. Thank you very much for joining. We will be back to our normally scheduled program.
And that was the thing. We were jumping around a lot, but yeah, the whole dynamic mic thing. I had to learn like what the distance was, right? Yeah. I had to really learn that. So I'm learning not to like swallow the mic, and I think there are going to be times when it's useful though, like in the middle of a show floor where we have that isolation. It's going to be amazing. That's why I was so happy. And this is my roundabout way of saying, again, thank you, Juan, for having such a great recommendation.
For sure. It's really been an exciting part of kind of this content creator conversation where, like I helped Michael Fisher pick out his AKG, a C414 studio grade, because he really likes to, at the time he was really working out of that sound booth. And that's great. You have an enclosed space. And I feel like so many solutions were kind of generically sold to people wanting to make things on the internet, but they really weren't great tools unless you were willing to like enclose yourself. I just throw a blanket over my head whenever I do my VO. Like, that's terrible. Why would you do that?
No, you just need a sound booth like Michael Fisher. I love those. I would love to be able to build a sound booth just like his, but
again,
that's the thing though. Like so many of these audio videos that, because I watched a ton of them to learn about what eventually became this mic, but at the time it was those pencil condenser mics. None of them talk at enough length about how treated your rooms have to be. All they really say is like, this mic sounds great. This mic sounds great. But then you put it in your room, and I'm in my bedroom right now, and it's just like, then it sounds all echoey, and my chair can go back and forth, and you'll hear everything that my chair is doing. And it's, I don't know, like those little things, that's when experimentation and trial and error had to come into play.
And it gets dicey when experimentation and trial and error start creeping above like the $300 to $400 price tier for individual components. I think nothing of bringing out one of like my tube mics, or I've got a Blue Kiwi. I've got mics in my collection that are $3,000-$4,000. I used to use those in studio all the time. You'll never see them in my office. They are the exact wrong tool for what it is that I do on a daily basis. And I've got like acoustic blankets on all of the walls that you can't see.
Oh, you treated it. Okay. You set up the same thing. Okay.
The most reflective corners of my room. And, my camera's kind of, right in this corner of this tiny, tiny little bedroom that I've turned into an office. And, to your point, Josh, it's like I spent 10 years in voiceover recording and voiceover directing as an engineer, as a session producer. And you'd get actors coming in and you're like, well, what's the best mic? And you're like, you don't want the best mic. You really don't. And like, you want a mic that's actually not going to be very good, or very articulate or the most accurate because your house probably sucks.
Acoustic. You're not willing to invest the rest of the house just to get the mic to work the right way.
Then go and buy like a TLM 103 or a Neumann U87, and you're like, that's a $3,000 investment. That's super sexy because it's right here. That's the sexy thing that you talk into, and then you need to go and spend another 15 grand powering it, capturing it, and then enclosing it. That's the only way to get.
Even in terms that are like closer to us, that new Shure MV7, I was talking to TK about how like I kind of want to get that for my gaming videos. Now look at it, it's $250. It's the new version. It's their updated version of the SM7B.
Oh,
yeah.
Now it's USB
and
enabled.
XLR.
Yeah, yep. I almost got that, and I was like $250. Now, if I'm being honest, at some point it'll turn into $250 if you really do your research. Like this mic is $90, the FET head was $90, and then the audio interface was $150. So okay, fine, $250, sure. But still, like dropping that amount of money when I already have the other tools, that was a part of it that I needed to remember. And I think everyone needs to remember, like a lot of the times when products are really expensive, it's because they're trying to eliminate parts of the process.
Yeah.
And the MV7 is a USB mic, so technically you just use that and it just does everything.
The thing I like about that is you could still use it like an SM7.
Yes.
Like if you wanted, you could plug them in XLR and do like interviews, radio style interviews. You could run multiple mics off of a traditional interface or just go with the USB port. But yeah, Josh, to your point, I mean, like we spent $100 SM57. I've got it's actually probably more like $150 cloud lifter, and then my audio interface is a little nicer. But that $400 audio chain prevents me from needing a room within a room. Yeah. Like that would be a couple grand to kind of have the same audio isolation from the rest of the house. Where if my daughter's watching Sesame Street in the living room, I can still record. And I don't have to enclose myself in a tiny airless box that sounds kind of like a coffin to do it. I still can kind of open air in my office, and it's a much easier process than if I had a nicer mic.
Yeah,
it's the right mic for the right job, not the most expensive mic for any job. I learned that lesson.
You just say that because you're poor. Just don't
Dude,
be.
I was having a hardest time.
We all lived that life. Okay, yes. We all know what that is.
Still living that
we're all trying to figure out how to do this and how to do our shtick.
I'm on an SM57 with micro four thirds. I'm still broke.
I'll say this. If all we need to do, maybe if we ever do this maybe one more time before we do the Vegas thing, I will personally have Uber Eats and Postmates deliver specific meals, and we should just do this with a meal because I feel like this is totally a communal, just hanging out and doing things. It's one of those I really so we haven't, just for reference, the three of us haven't been hanging. Even though we live in somewhat of a geographic co-location, Southern California, it's a big term. Haven't had a chance to hang out together, all three of us here in Southern California. Like I've hung out with Josh, I've hung out with Juan multiple times. I love going and hanging out with each one, and CES would have been our time to hang out again because that's typically what we do. So I'm really enjoying it. So next time, if we are able to plan this, I want to set something up, and we'll have. I'm sure there's at least either an In-N-Out or a Habit within proximity of each one of us, and we'll get some burgers in hands. If not, tacos for sure.
Yeah, man. It's like my goal for New Year's Eve is some birria is what I really want.
And with that being said, Marty White, thank you very much for the taco money, getting us ready for the meal. We'll definitely put that directly into some tacos as well, or some burgers, whichever comes first.
Taco Sal Carbone in Burbank, $20 would buy you a lot of tacos.
That is a lot.
That's 40 Jack in the Box right there.
Hugo's. No. Hugo's Tacos. Have you guys been to Hugo's?
No, I feel like I've heard of it though.
So Hugo's is the restaurant where you can get like all kinds of different like menu substitutions, like if you want gluten-free or if you want vegan. I mean, it's a great restaurant. From the where is it? It's closer to Studio City. the restaurant, the Hugo's in Studio City, right across the street, they've got a tiny little taco window. Like there's 2 park benches to sit out in front of. Hugo's Tacos. I want to say it's I can't remember what street it's off of now. It's like right off of a 101.
It's in Studio. It's in Studio City.
Near Studio City. It's
everyone always on the west side.
But anyway,
always west side.
But again, you go, you get like a little trio of street tacos, like a little like beans and rice on the side. And
there's an LA one, by the way, as well. Yeah.
And you just shove them in your face, and they're amazing and they're delicious. And
Nice.
Coldwater. Oh, it's on Coldwater Canyon. That's why. It's a hard
Coldwater.
one to remember. Yeah, it's on Coldwater. Yeah. I had to bring it up.
All right. Well. So tech,
So
right?
that $20 that'll get you some Hugo's tacos. It's good times.
So
man.
So how about that tech for this tech podcast?
The name of the show is
The best of your week.
Oh, that's
and
fair.
we covered our merry Techmas. I mean, we were asking like if tech was a part of your gift giving strategy. So
that's
I
fair.
feel we're covered.
Can I get? Well, I don't want to ruin my video that I'm going to release on Christmas Day. I did this.
You want to tease it? You can tease it.
I do want to tease
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Well, no, I'm just gonna go ahead and ruin it because I just need to say like I kind of gifted myself something for Christmas.
What'd you do?
I tried so hard to get this phone, but it's not sold in the U.S. and my contacts just would not. They didn't have any. So and even then, this is one of those companies that would ask for it back eventually. So I was like, I got to make a decision. I just got to buy the Zenfone 7. Like just so. I gotta get this phone.
That's so bad.
And of course, my Panasonic just can't focus. There you go.
Why is Panasonic so bad at autofocusing?
It's not.
Well,
it's just it's on.
It's not.
face.
This isn't the GH5. It's the.
I'm
This
on
I
the
think he has.
S5.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
he's
okay.
switched over. Yeah. The
But it wasn't
GH5 is
face
always
detect. But I mean, how could you not? Okay, it's out of battery, so I can't show you. But but the flip camera on the Zenfone 6 was one of the most memorable things of 2019, and I just had to try the new one, thinking to myself, if I put down that amount of money just to try the phone, I better know I'm gonna like it. And sure enough, I've had this thing for literally like hours, and I love this phone. This is such a great phone.
It's been so exciting. Again, this was such a good year. 2019 was sort of the end of the agreed upon glass on glass slab of phone. And we got a couple little experiments, but 2020 has been such a wealth of different form factors, motorized components, different kinds of hinges, folding screens, dual displays. Like there are phenomenal arguments to be made at every single niche, and in that niche at a variety of price points, where it's not just like, well, I mean, if you've got $1,500, then you can get a phone that's going to be a very good fit for you. It's like, I can make arguments at $400. You can get dual display for like $700. I mean, like it's really been, and seeing like, I mean, like I desperately wanted to play with Zenfone and ROG3, and just like you, contacts, I'm tight with Asus. I'm really good with their system builder and components side. Like we do a ton of stuff with them on Newegg. No conversations. They had zero faith in the North American market. And like,
it's not really too much of a knock on them, honestly. It's just like,
oh, not as a knock. I mean, I kind of feel like their experiences in the past have been a little lukewarm, trying to get products into
in the
States.
Phone space for sure.
Exactly.
But I gotta give the props to them for that Zephyrus G14. Holy crap!
Yes. Oh wow. Yes. Oh man, I wish I was able to try that.
Way up on the list, and just to tell, who was it in here? Steve was saying, I thought Josh was an Apple show, and here I am showing off his Zenfone. Well, wait for it, my friend. I would have totally been all over the G14 had the M1 not become a thing.
Yeah.
And I hate that I have to say that, but it's true.
I'm sitting on an MSI review right now where the conversation is so difficult because this is the most grown up laptop I've ever used from MSI. I mean, I cannot say enough nice things about the design, the aesthetic. It doesn't feel like Mountain Dew fueled. It's
modern, prestige. Which one is it?
The Creator.
Oh, you got a Creator.
Yeah, the Creator.
Oh, those are fantastic.
It's
Creator's the way to go. Yep.
And again, I mean, like even opposite like the M1. I mean, you've got the RTX 2060 in there. There are there are applications where this makes sense. It still makes
Mhm.
sense, but we have to have that conversation about price to performance to battery life, where Intel is struggling.
Mm.
It's like I can only get two. Like if it's Intel, that means I can get performance and I can get price, and I just got to throw battery life out the window.
Pretty much. You're
And
paying for
it
the
sucks
brick.
because it's not on MSI.
Yeah.
MSI has finally delivered the laptop I always kind of knew they could make, but we've just been shown a consumer computing future with ARM processors that, man, Intel has no answer for right now.
And even
Nope.
then, like I've been looking for the way to say this, and I guess a podcast like this is as good a time as any. We know people and are tight with people from Qualcomm, and they have been telling us, like, grain of salt, all the M1 stuff. I'm sorry, like Apple just showed you the blueprint. Qualcomm follow up, because this is what you have to do. It's not that the ACPCs, or whatever you want to call them, the always connected,
Always on. Yeah, they always connect.
it's not that they weren't good, but you needed to give me a laptop that had that kind of attention to detail and run Photoshop and run Premiere and
It's
run
Adobe.
DaVinci
It's
Resolve.
Adobe's commitment that took forever to show up, which was
now
like,
they're limping
creators.
to, like the Surface X. But again, it's the blessing and the curse, where I can praise Apple for their vertical control over their product lines, but we'll afford Apple as much runway as they need to get developers on board, to control and lock down their environment, and to make sure that the software is going to be key. The nanosecond you step away from Windows XP legacy software support, all of the techies come crawling out of the woodwork to complain about how nothing works and it's not worth it, and this is terrible, and Microsoft doesn't have the apps, and you don't get any time. So, I mean, now that we've got, x64 emulation for Windows on ARM, it should get better.
Yeah.
But, we could have been pushing developers to adopt this earlier if we afforded Microsoft half as much time to get their ish together as we're so happy to give Apple the runway they need to make that kind of transition and break every single piece of legacy software moving forward. Make sure you have to shop through the Mac OS store like you would with the iOS store to have the best compatibility for the full performance of your MacBook.
And that was the part I lamented so hard, is that, like, when Apple was announcing the Pros with the M1 and all of that, all of a sudden I see a face that I really recognize from Blackmagic Design. And I'm like, don't do this to me. And all of a sudden they were like, look how great DaVinci Resolve works on the M1. I'm like, no, I'm going to have to buy a MacBook.
But again, we're happy to give Apple every single consideration for that, and then shop directly through Apple's single point of service to maintain the best compatibility. If consumers were willing to afford Microsoft any of that, for some reason we're still afraid of Microsoft having that much control. We won't.
We gave it to Google, we gave it to Amazon, we gave it to Apple.
Microsoft, like, oh my gosh, they're trying to tell me that I should use the Edge browser. Has Microsoft gone too far? Have they?
They're not making after Microsoft.
Browser, but I just got a Windows 10 update that showed me that there's a new Edge browser. That's an advertisement for the Edge browser in my Windows. Has Microsoft completely lost the plot?
They've gone too far. They've gone too far.
I'm happy to say that I will only do business in every way that Apple tells me to do, to use the Apple products at their bare minimum. Like
Safari, yep.
If we could split the difference between that wide open Wild West Microsoft experience and the tightly controlled Apple experience, then I feel like that's reality. That's where we should be. But we won't.
At some point, we'll have conversions. I'm not sure when that will happen. It's one of those. But I truly feel like, for me, back at last year when we were at the summit, I was truly like, we talked to some people. There were some rumors about early betas available from Adobe, because that would have been my biggest thing, jumping on a Surface X, just to be able to use Adobe and be able to render on something so thin, so portable.
Yeah.
That would have been my dream. I'm also on a Creator, just for reference. I like using Creator. It definitely works for me a little bit better because it doesn't have as many bells and whistles as the gaming laptops that I used to get.
Mhm.
But
It's funny
I
how that's actually
appreciate.
kind of a perk now as I get older.
Yeah, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I still have my MSI. I love my
No, I
MSI.
know,
So
TK,
if you
we're
see me,
ancient. I know. I get it.
We
We're
are.
old.
At what point does RGB take away from the experience, right? Like,
no, it's just because if every time I boot up my computer, 16,000 pieces of LEDs need to or RGB have to turn on to give me that ambient effect on a plane, and my laptop just only goes for an hour and 45
I know
minutes
when I set
at
my systems to
best.
all green and just with the light breathing effect, I get 3 frames per second more performance in Cyberpunk. So
It
That's
is,
awesome.
that's how you
and
know you're doing it right.
speaking of Cyberpunk, no, I'm just kidding. I don't. I won't.
oh no, TK and I already
no, no, no.
talked long about Cyberpunk.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to talk Cyberpunk.
And you know what?
Cyberpunk.
When you know what, on the topic of on this whole theme of us like derailing shows, like we talked Cyberpunk for 45 minutes on the Pocket Now Weekly. Oh man. But anyway, go ahead, TK. Sorry.
We just got our
No.
Newegg video out. We were a little late to talk about some of their, but I mean, they put together just a ridiculous machine. The weakest, I think the most aged component we used. What did we use? We used a Core i9 9900 KS, and
Nice.
now it's like, well, that's like a generation old. But we still paired it with like a 3080, and we were talking about DLSS performance, like. Oh no, on our 1440p monitor, we're in the high 80s frames per second with all of the settings turned up to like insane. Oh,
I'm enjoying max everything on Cyberpunk, and I'm enjoying it on Ryzen, my friend. Ryzen for the win, but it is a 2080 though. I am running it on a 2080 Ti. There's no I like the game. I like the game a lot. I like the openness, and even though I finished, now I'm back and I'm playing it, just doing all the side missions, getting as much money as I can. It took me like 50 hours.
Yeah.
50 hours.
Not been sleeping like he should be.
No. I wake up in the morning. I used to wake up and make videos. I haven't been doing that. I just wake up and I turn on Cyberpunk for 2 hours because I want to get a couple hours before they wake up. I used to do work, and then Cyberpunk came out. So I'm replaying the game now, and I decided to go the corp route.
He's a corpo now. He's a
Yep,
shill.
and I will because I felt like the Street Kid and the Nomad were kind of very similar-ish kind of experience, because to me I felt like they're closer to each other. I felt like if I went with the Corp, I see what that third option is, and then I'll go back and I'll do the Nomad. So
next week we're gonna see TK's like authoritarian streak come out.
Yeah. Basically tactical. Just I'm gonna work you guys on just from behind, and strategies and deals and crashing systems.
His beard's gonna be like purple, silver, and red. Like
in the game, it's black and orange at the tips, and I'm like, I don't know if I can really pull that in real life, because I gave the same avatar.
McLaren facial hair, is that?
If I could do this color beard, the black and white one, I would totally do it. There's no way to customize it to that level. But the avatar V is definitely the way I would look like if I was there. Totally. And I just need to get him the right digs and better cars. I'm not getting better. I need to get better cars or better bikes, and of course better gear, because that's the best part. But no, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I got to remember to play Warzone. I forgot about Warzone.
Oh God, it was Warzone. Juan, it was Warzone, and now it's Cyberpunk, and now he's talking about going back to Warzone. It's nuts. Like there's so much going on, and like with all the two consoles came out, and like all this gaming has to happen, but we're still working. Like we still do stuff. Like it's crazy. And here I go in December going, I should sleep early. Now I have no time for anything. So
no. There too many game systems, too many things to do, and the year is. I mean, it's almost over, and CES is literally at the door. And as I think Rolando was saying before, that CES emails are just all over the place. We're getting appointments.
Dude, I got one from Toto. Did you guys get one from Toto?
I just got exactly what you're.
I'm sure it's sitting in there.
How do we review a bidet? Like how?
And the thing
The
is,
Japanese way.
Do we live stream it? Do we live stream that?
but I don't know how to make that video. It's also
Exactly.
like the I
would
don't
you
know
make
when it
that
happened, and I don't know if you guys get hit with it, but the like I somehow got put on a list for a bunch of PR agencies for adult novelties and techie
Oh, no, I
toys.
didn't get that.
Oh, send that my way. Send that my way.
I have the most morbid curiosity as to what you're doing with connected devices in this space, but
I get one email a
literally
year from those.
no
those
way
type-
I can talk about any of this stuff on my mainstream channels. Like,
I'll do it. I'll do it.
all right, I'll put you in touch if you want.
I think
No,
that's
it-
out.
This is bleeding edge technology, and again, I'm fascinated with the conversation that they're trying to have. It's just
Actually,
literally
one of the coolest things that happened at last CES was ISA was looking into more female wellness tech.
Mhm.
And we actually found ourselves in the section of what do they call that? The Sands, the other part of CES.
like
Yeah, is it
We're
just?
not talking about
because
AVN, are we?
It's in this. No, it's in the Sands.
You said the
Best
other
Buy.
part of the Sands. I'm like, yeah, it's the only one.
I guess we
no,
just
I
call
mean,
it the
but you mean
Sands,
like
right?
that down by
downstairs
where all the
area.
buses are,
Yeah.
and like the tiny little they don't really have booths. It's like a
Yeah.
little
Like
kiosk
cubicles.
yeah,
Almost,
it's literally
can't remember.
barely any dividers between.
And we found
It's not the
ourselves
annex,
like
is it?
in that section, and you know, Issa was the one who was jumping into all the conversations with, you know, when it came to like sex toys and vibrators and all that stuff, and it was fascinating to hear those conversations. So like it does deserve its section in CES for sure. And yeah, it's an interesting like pivot, and something that I would have never done at Android Authority, right? So it's good to that's one of the joys of CES. Like I saw some people in the chat saying like CES is dying or something like that. It really isn't. It's just that the big names don't view it as the most important thing because now they have enough money to run their own shows.
And it makes me sad because I'm exhausted, like trying to keep up with. Well, Samsung's going to do an Unpacked, and then the next day I've got to travel to a more mainstream show with a bunch of presenters, and then there's IFA or Computex or MWC. But you know,
Can we make that our goal for next year? We don't know when vaccinations are going to happen, but can we all go to Computex together? Can we just do that?
Oh man,
so much.
I want to go to Taipei.
Yeah.
And it's a smaller show. I mean, like in floor space. So like finally getting to cover one last year. It's now my favorite show. I loved, like, here's a Motherboard Alley, and I'm just going to nerd out on motherboards because this is going to be. Oh, look, here's an overclocking challenge where people are just like dumping liquid nitrogen all over the place.
I was going to say it wouldn't be CES wouldn't be CES if you didn't see somebody liquid cooling something, trying to run an overclock.
Wasn't there like a whole? There was like a whole computer like inside of a vat of just coolant.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So like at Computex, someone built the coolant for the PC was built into a refrigerated beer keg, and you just go up and pour a Heineken, and like I'm not the biggest fan of Heineken. I'm gonna drink a Heineken out of a PC. Let's do this.
Is this going to be called the Heine PC as opposed to the KFC PC?
It's an RG beer.
It's an RG beer.
I am much more on board refrigerated cooling through beer rather than heat tray to keep my chicken above room temperature. Like, to me, that sounds gross. You know, the KFC PC, but
isn't it basically just an air fryer? Like it should have just been an air fryer.
It should. It would. We could definitely. I would definitely say that we could definitely review that one to death.
And Steve has it. I've been told that the Costco's in Taipei are what's up. When we went, our hotel was like next door to the Costco.
Costco's in Taipei. Okay.
So we walked and got like flats of water, and then we got like those chicken sandwiches that like the chicken breasts are like the size of your face. And they're so good, and they won't bring the chicken. I've actually written to Costco, like, can you please bring the chicken sandwich to the United States? It's the best chicken sandwich I've ever had. And
your membership works over there. You didn't have to do anything special, right?
It's hilarious. I mean, I walked in and I showed my card and I went to check out, and I didn't know WTF I was doing at all. Like I didn't even have it. You know, it takes you a day to kind of get the speed of like how payments and money work in any new place that you've never been before. And there I am in Costco, like miming how I'm gonna pay for things, and we're walking out with flats of water to drink on the show floor and chicken sandwiches, and it was amazing. It was phenomenal.
Make chicken sandwiches great again. Hashtag. We got to get it going. I love Aditya with the hashtag. He's our hashtag factory right there going on. But I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been to Costco I think I want to say in Canada one time, and that was about the only other out of the US.
The amount of salmon that they have in Canada at that Costco is insane,
dude. Oh man,
it has its own section.
Costco, you got to try it. If you haven't tried it, you got to.
I'm on board, Josh. If we can make a Computex trip, have it too.
100%.
Again, I mean, if we're a year out, like let's say this is 2022, just to keep everything safe, a majority of people that we would work with getting vaccinated, we can kind of reduce some of these types of fears and concerns. We'll ranch it in Vegas, and then we'll follow that up with a ridiculous party plane to Taipei, and we'll all like vlog from the Taipei 101. And
hell yeah,
it'll be amazing.
It's just gonna be. We should make like a phalanx, and it's just all of us with our cameras like this, back to back to back to back.
I can see Juan right now with his V80 running around. Juan will be running with his V80 because you know he'll be doing it.
My quad display.
V80. Exactly, because by then we'll have
you need a screen for every DAC on the LG phone. So there you go.
4 wires running in different sources. He's running monitor 1 on display, monitor 2 on second one.
on my road with the LED lights and some wireless labs. And
you know what? When it comes to the trips, like whenever Tika and I talk, like it always comes up eventually. Like Japan is on the list. We gotta go back.
Japan. Man, every time Japan. I want to go back. I wish there was a way of just, last year's trip, as hot as muggy as it was, I don't remember that. I remember just going and anime and everything, into food and ramen and oh my God, it was just amazing. It's just it's like a different world. It is like it's not even anything I can relate to. I haven't been to other countries, and we visited quite a few that have the same respect, the personalities, the people, the food, the culture. There's 7-Eleven is a place you buy food from. That's just one of those things you never say here. Middle of the night, 7-Eleven had pizza, snacks, everything we needed, and oh my God, and the coffee everywhere. You just swipe, get a coffee, walk. Just oh my God. So yes, Josh is all my sources of snacks and Asian coffee.
It's funny, but this might not. I don't know if this is going to be news to Juan, but I've been telling everybody, like, I actually got off coffee. I don't even drink coffee anymore.
I honestly didn't think that you were super into coffee, because I know you from our conversations about tea.
Oh yes, tea's always a thing, but like coffee was always like how I started the day, and I was Mr. Bulletproof Coffee for a while. And
oh, that's right. When we were at what was that Mexican place down in Santa Monica?
Oh, I forget the name, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we had that whole conversation. I remember you talking about Bulletproof Coffee now.
It was kind of it's been kind of weird. Like it was basically since like beginning of November that I've gotten off of it, because it was actually, I don't know, I've never had panic attacks or anxiety attacks before in my life, but I guess I was just overstimulating myself and just having too much.
Makes sense.
So, yeah, it was kind of odd. Like the reason why I bring it up is because on a personal level, it's still interesting to me that that's a thing. Like I actually made a pretty big shift. That was one of the big shifts.
It's a big shift. Yeah. Especially if you drank it for many years, your body's used to it. And tea, to a certain point, doesn't. There's a certain few combination of teas that can get you pretty good level of caffeines in there, the stimulant in them. But in general, I feel like they're much better. My personal drink is always the half. I think I mentioned it to you guys before. I like the half coffee, half tea cup. It's half the caffeine, but with a little bit of a milder, earthy flavor from the tea that you get, which nice oolong tea. Josh and we always hit up this place in Pasadena, the nice little tea shop. That was also that was a good place. It was chill. It was nice, and it was close. It's close to my day job, so I always appreciate. So that's one thing I miss about going to my day job. I was closer to Josh physically because where I am now is
I'll
literally it's one of those things. But yeah, no, and I think it's Japan is always a must. So Taipei for sure. We can always swing by. Hopefully hit Japan on the way back. It'll be amazing. And actually next year we'll see if the Olympics even happen, because remember they're still hoping for the
yeah,
Olympics
that's true,
next year.
huh?
They postponed them.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be it's gonna be interesting, like even in my family. But I feel like collectively, as various little pockets of societies, we're gonna try and make up for an entire year. Like we've got sporting events and we've got the Olympics, but then also just like the travel that we would have done and getting back into the swing of some kind of different work-life balance. But at the same time, it's like we don't go back. Like there's no going back to the way things were before.
Yeah, it's not a reset. It's not like magic pill.
But we've got to
Monday we
figure out
start.
what a new normal is. I mean, kind of to your point though, Josh. I mean, like conditions changed around us, and it's not like things didn't get more stressful. I've been having to change up my diet because of my psoriasis. TK and I have had conversations just about like, the work-life family dynamic and what it means
Yeah.
just for our general well-being, and like to try and just keep muscling through with the way things were before. I could totally get that, man. Like burnout's such a real thing in the best of situations. Let's dump a bunch of caffeine on top of that.
Oh, and you know what? Like the lesson on top of the lesson is just like sleep is so damn important, and I can't. It's wow. Like Issa used to say this phrase when she would come to these revelations, like, "Oh, I'm not invincible anymore," and now I get what she means. Like now I get what she means is like, I actually have a sleep requirement now. Like, on any other day, like I am still going to work in the morning, but just in general, like, tomorrow's technically a bit of an off day, and then Christmas is coming up and whatnot. So I don't mind being up right now, but like, yeah, I would try to get to bed like 10 now, and that's like unheard of for me. It's part of the reason why I haven't finished Cyberpunk TK. So
I didn't even realize it. I was just I knew he had gone on the Nomad side, and I had a question about it, and he's like, TK, no spoilers, no spoilers. And I was like, no. It's totally on an early character, not even at all, because I started on
I had reached that part, so it wasn't.
Yeah.
He's still ahead of you, even though he just reset this character.
I truly, once I got into the story, it was, for me, it's like watching a movie for 2 hours every day. I seriously gave it at least 2 hours worth of my time.
That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to do that when it first came out. Yeah.
And I felt like the way it goes with TikTok when time just kind of warps, right? That's like that time travel from where you are to the next. And I think I mentioned it to Josh. I think there has to be a mod for us to be able to enjoy Cyberpunk in VR, or even using it with a VR headset. This game begs VR POV. You need to have that level because of the visibility. You turn around, like when you were talking, we were sitting in the car, right? There was that one scene in the beginning where they're driving and you're talking to the other character, but you have the ability of turning around, looking around, seeing people walking, the setup, the buildings, the billboards, the ads, all of those things to me just are, with glitches and all of the little hiccups that they've had, was still enjoyable. That like I said, once I finished, I didn't say, "Oh, I'm done." No, I wanted to go back and do the game in the second, the three different parts, and so I'm at least 3 hours in, corp side. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, his new game plus. But I'm reading this Twitch chat. It's an interesting conversation going on the side there. But yeah, I mean, how could you not talk about like this? It's literally the game that everyone has been talking about for the last 2 weeks. We're not going to go like Young Ye and make every single video about it. Not that was a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, that's how much the news has been around Cyberpunk. I don't blame him at all. Like, and he's a great reporter on this stuff. But anyway, yeah. Like, by the way, we see the chat. Like, we've read it. So if you would like to engage with us in a way that is constructive, go for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry. I don't mean to I don't mean to get a little salty on the show.
Just getting a little defensive.
I take these opportunities to see what Twitch is like, because I do want to look at it as a potential next platform for stuff.
Oh man, like the conversations TK and I were having before we pushed broadcast on, like, so what is your 2021 looking like? for YouTube? I don't know. What's yours looking like for YouTube? Like literally,
Cyberpunk is out.
like four creators that I follow that I'm subscribed to all had different flavors. Like GSM Arena.
Oh, I saw their video.
Oh my
Yes, I saw that
goodness.
today. I was shocked.
Like shocked is not strong enough of a word because we all have these hot takes and these outrage headlines, and so that was like at the top of my feed. Just like I know that crew so well. Ricky is such a good.
Oh my God, Ricky! Yes,
such a good dude. To have that kind of lead the way, and then literally like 3 other creators, like someone I follow was like, hey, well, here's my YouTube exit strategy, and by this time in 2022, I want to be able to say this, and this, as I'm not using YouTube for any of my like paying bills and stuff. And like it is just the conversation. Like, what are we doing with this platform? What does it mean to us, and how do we adapt in a market that, you know, like YouTube very regularly shows us what they think our value is to their platform. So it's heady stuff. I mean, the philosophy of it all is just it's a lot to untangle. And again, it's a lot of feelings, and it's a lot of data, and it's a lot of, you know, metrics. And then we saw at the end of the day, like, I want to make videos about cool stuff that I get to play with, and that's not as easy as it used to be. And now what does that mean?
Yeah, it's rough. And what happened to them was also just like it was a crazy just F up in terms of the system that they were put in. And it was a systemic thing. That's the part that's so crazy, is that it was a systemic thing. We've seen a lot of people get hacked, like straight up hacked by nefarious people. Yeah. But in this case, it was an oversight of the system. And that was just that just blew my mind. And the fact that they even had to make that video in the first place to explain what happened so that other people can get out of it. Like, the fact that they had to make that video shows that this is an ongoing problem.
Yeah.
And the thing that drove me crazy is that they didn't notice it till October, and they've been trying to get it to come back, and they're still not 100% all the way.
Again, it's the perfect storm of like nearly every part of the system failing a channel with enough visibility that you would think they would have some support.
Exactly.
Yeah. We already know that, like, you know, certain content creators on YouTube are more valuable than others, and they get more concierge service from Google and YouTube directly. GSM Arena is one that I would have hoped would be on a list where they're not asking for special consideration. They're asking a human being at YouTube to examine what went down and how it took them months for YouTube to instigate an internal audit of their own records just to show an outside entity compromised this channel's security. And that alone is shocking. I mean, it shouldn't take that much time, energy, effort, and complaining to get an entity like YouTube to examine the safeguards of their own platform. And I feel like, you know, for whatever missteps that the GSM Arena crew, obviously, I mean, like, they are on some advice for MCNs and how to monetize their channel and how to put these things together. And it was more complicated than it needed to be. And they weren't doing their due diligence and following up with their own local security. Sure. But then when you reach out to the platform, and the platform supposedly has a vested interest in maintaining the security and the monetization for their content creators, because that's the fuel of their advertising business. Like, again, it's like I couldn't be shown more what my value is to YouTube in a situation like that, and how little the individual channels really do mean to the greater mechanisms at play.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone can be Jack Black. Not everyone can be.
I mean, they got Will
Kimmel.
Smith now, so they don't need us like you know, long these grinder YouTubers, I guess. Is that what we are?
Yeah, we could call it the grind, honestly.
Are we rounders? Are we just like wearing down bars?
I would refrain from any associations with the term grinder, but sure. But yeah, like we are of the grind. And you know what? There should be like maybe in the lexicon of things, like it would be nice to know, like, as the quote unquote small creators, that our value is in building up a platform because if that platform gets too big for us, then maybe there's another platform that we can help build up.
Yeah.
But those players have to exist in the first place, and that's the thing. Foresight is really hard. Like, we're not all Gary Vee that we can all be like, hey, go on LinkedIn right now, and the rest of us are like, LinkedIn?
What is that?
Why? Like, you're gonna make a video, you're gonna put a review on LinkedIn? Who's gonna watch that? And then sure enough, some people are actually doing it.
Yeah.
It's actually true. I've seen some reviews in LinkedIn and like almost social postings in LinkedIn. I'm like,
I am LinkedIn illiterate. I've got an account. I've got a
I
couple
just
hundred.
imagine a bunch of
connections.
suits trying to find employees, and like they just stumble upon a review and they're like, what is this doing here?
I reached out to them if I could be a part of their. They had a pilot program for doing live streaming.
Oh,
So I reached out. I was obviously denied, turned down. Like they didn't want anything to do with my podcast. But yeah, like I check it once every couple of weeks, and I just like I don't know what's going on here. I don't know how to give people kudos. I don't know how to like stroke egos. None of this makes any sense to me.
I just saw the greatest comment. Juan, you're being summoned to create an OnlyFans.
oh my God, Juan OnlyFans. That's what they need, man. That license
OnlyFans.
Only once. It's gonna be
Juan-
only once.
only one, only
Well,
one.
On my own podcast, I was making the sort of offhanded joke that like maybe at some point I say F it all and I just put my channel up on Pornhub. And you can have a safe for work channel on Pornhub, even though no work would ever let you only once. So that maybe that's where I go. If we need competition, Josh, I mean, you know, we're gonna try and find the next platform to try and build up. So Pornhub just deleted a whole ton of problematic content. They need long tail, right? I'm the long tail guy for YouTube. When you've seen the big, huge channels and YouTube wants to keep you in the tech conversation, that's when they'll serve you one of my videos. So if that's my role,
your deep
maybe
web,
that I can fulfill that role over on Pornhub.
Your deep web on YouTube, is that so?
If I look at my metrics, that seems to be where YouTube puts me.
Okay.
You know, I'm not making every video about Sam Apple, so I have little value until people have exhausted the tentpole popular stuff, and then YouTube comes to me like Loki, you know, dejected in a prison cell. You must be truly desperate to come to Juan's channel through YouTube search.
I mean, yeah.
Menage a trois, only one.
I saw that right when you clicked it. I was like, oh, there it is.
Steve only gets it.
So I will examine the viability of creating a safe for work
podcast.
I mean, if it came down to it, just show the porn on the phone or on the product, right? Like, because what are your go-tos when you talk about the display on a phone? Like, I usually show one of my own videos, or I go to like,
it's always I don't want
Netflix, you know.
I've shown one of you guys. It depends on whatever. Like, first that hits. If it's yours, one of you guys, or mine, I feel like I'm confident enough that I won't get a strike for any reason. Nobody's gonna call me. Like, I'm not gonna get it. I feel like I'm cool enough with Juan and Josh that I'm not gonna get that call. But other people, I tend to steer away from.
It's like your guys' channel, and then if it's a OnePlus video, I have to show Tech Alter.
But yeah, so it's the ones that you know. So it always keep it safe as much as possible.
But I mean, like I just had to reshoot my Die Hard defense. So I did my video. Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Why'd you have to reshoot it?
At Christmas. So I put in clips of the film. YouTube immediately this has copyrighted material. Yeah. So I reshot every scene of that film that I used as a defense in my video by angling a laptop screen and shooting the movie on that laptop screen at an angle off my camera with other stuff happening in the background, just so that YouTube wouldn't immediately wig out on copyright. And again, just coming from my movie review days, like I don't have any audio. I'm not using music. Even though I talk about the music, I'm not even trying. At this point, if there's music in something, it's just a no-go for me anyway.
Yep.
But like, you know, the whole tenets of commentary and critique, I feel like I am in the most protected commentary only clips that I am directly referencing the action of what's happening in that clip are being referenced in the defense of this argument. And YouTube's automated "you're guilty until proven innocent" doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So like I had to basically record all of Die Hard on a laptop screen and then edit that in into my.
I remember you talking about that on Monday. Yep. Yeah. No. It's one of those. It's
So
hard.
again,
It's hard.
I feel like I'd be better off with Pornhub for that anyway. So
we're shifting the paradigm.
We are.
So that's what this podcast is all about.
Oh, you see, Josh, this is the stuff that messes us up. So The Verge claimed a lot of my videos lately from like 3 years ago when I would use some of their clips for a voiceover. The thing is, like, I gave up on music because there is no such thing as truly perpetuity royalty-free licensing. And so I bought a lot of music from reputable clip stores that then catalogs changed hands, different agreements were set, and new companies could claim that audio. And I lost a couple dozen old videos that people probably wouldn't have gone back to watch much anyway. But, I bought that music in good faith from a company that said that this is how they were going to license it. And now that's gone. And we even had some issues with a couple of the YouTube creator catalog where YouTube didn't properly clear clips and samples and channels. Like there was one channel that was doing, I think, Minecraft videos, and he used it for his intro. And basically his entire channel was nuked overnight. And there's just nothing Google could do. I know Google said it was safe to use this music, but they can't intervene. And you're like, that kind of stuff, man. That's
hard.
Yeah, it's like it's insidious.
Yeah,
like absolutely.
That sucks that had to happen, because I was just about to give the Creator Studio Music like a pat on the back. Yeah.
But again, it's like, even there, it's not completely truly safe. So I mean, like, I used to kind of play pre-show music for my podcast. I stopped doing that. My videos, I stopped really putting it in. I did some holiday music just to wrap up some of the end of the year videos, but like most of my commentary now is dry. And like I really can't afford to work this hard on this kind of content and then, lose out because someone else decided that licensing could change hands. And now I'm stuck with a video and a soundtrack that is getting claimed for someone else's copyright.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's the point that we're trying to make, Josh. Can I call you JQ? I think that's really cool. Like JQ, it's just that years and years down the line, things can happen. And like a perfect example, just Chappelle, like the management of his show just changed hands, and now he's not getting paid for any of it. Or he never was getting paid for any of it, but now they can show it wherever they want, and he never gets a cent of where that goes.
So or like, even a say at the time. Yeah, that was the whole,
so that's
whole thing.
That's what could happen with our music. Like I usually do some Bandcamp downloads, and I check, like, you can buy this and use it anywhere. But that could change at any point. What if that artist gets popular and they end up selling their catalog?
Or if another larger entity creates a piece of media using the same music, then they can make a claim. And it doesn't matter if they actually have rights. If they're bigger than you, then they make the claim in a DMCA to YouTube, and YouTube will take their side. And then as a YouTube content creator, your only recourse is to go to YouTube and say, I have a good faith argument. All YouTube will do is pass it over to the person who made a claim to see if they agree. And if they don't agree, well, too bad. There's just nothing we can do, even though it's our platform and we have all of this ability to match content and do it automated and content ID and we could look up all this stuff, but we couldn't. There's just nothing we can do.
Yeah. We need to start making our own music like Josh. Josh is getting his own equipment to make his own music.
I've dabbled with some Fruity Loops.
Mix man.
Right. I can play a mean recorder right there, man. We could definitely get it together and make a band.
I mean, my kazoo work is unparalleled. Now, Josh also mentioned something. Do you think I might not be safe with Epidemic sound?
Yeah, that was what I was referring to. Yeah.
And the concern I would have with Epidemic isn't that a subscription? Like
it is.
I want to say, yeah.
So
once you stop paying,
once you stop paying, you're off. And like I would rather buy an individual track that's licensed that I could then use, and then technically I should be good in perpetuity. It's just kind of up to you, like how long do you want to pay a subscription fee for that? And when you decide to slow down or maybe stop producing for YouTube, are you just going to turn your channel off? Because you could have the channel run for a while just as sort of search. I still have like LG G3 videos that get the occasional views, and Galaxy S5 videos that pop up. And if I had used a subscription service for music licensing and I decided I wanted to just stop but keep the channel public, I'd still need to pay to make sure those videos weren't ganked.
Mm-hmm.
Copyrights, it's always it's a weird creepy up situation. I luckily have only had it a couple of times, and in both situations I just took the video down. It wasn't worth the headaches or even the attempt to try to fix the problem.
Yeah,
because
with the music that got called on me, it was the same. I mean, I basically pulled, like in one day I pulled 15 videos, and like I don't have the original source files. I'm not going to re-render like G3 versus GS4 camera comparison.
You got to find your old mini USB connected hard drive. Find all of that old footage.
NAS and start typing G6. Did I call it a G6 or an LG G?
Yeah, that's not a thing.
What would be hilarious though? What if we just like reshot them?
Go find the phone, get it out the drawer.
Yeah, with the stupid museum of old phones that I've got, the bookshelf over here, there's a part of me that like not even kind of April Fool's style, but like just do it for a year. Like map out when those phones launched and then do the entire year. Like here's from the Lumia 920 to like the HTC One to like the GS4. I mean, like run the year exactly how it would have played out back then, but never acknowledge.
Yeah, never acknowledge that you're actually in 2020 or 21.
But I'm also legit in a time warp shooting 4K 60 frame per second video of these phones, talking about how nifty it is that we can finally shoot 720p video, guys. Isn't that neat? Like I want to do it so bad. I'd like just burn an entire year on old stuff,
on old tech, and just actually giving first impressions of a device that no longer actually accepts your login into it.
See, I'm 11 years into producing on video streaming platforms, and there's nothing I want to do more than find like an ARG mind trip game to play with an audience. Like still do tech, still talk about tech, but I want to tilt someone's worldview like 3 degrees. Like, is this real? Did that really happen? No, I think he's messing with us. Oh,
I would just love like reshooting one of those videos with like our current knowledge, our current skill sets, and I just wonder what we would do with that. Like, imagine like an overhead rig with a full frame camera playing Bubble Pop on an iPhone 3. Like,
hey guys, Angry Birds 2 plays so fluidly on this.
No drop frames.
What was
everything
that called?
works.
It was the bubble wrap game, right? Where you just like you got to pop. Like
that's all you did.
I'll take it back to there was Jawbreaker on Windows Mobile, and so that was like you would pop the bubbles and then the colors would slide back together. But then there was the HTC Marble game.
Yes,
where you would tilt the phone and you would try and get the marble to like
to kind of go through.
Oh, I don't think I ever played that. I know the analog version of that, but I never played the phone version of it.
And it was like one of the first games I'd ever played, because you can imagine like what the haptic motors were like on Windows mobile PDAs, where when the ball would bump against the sides, it would buzz. It would just set out, and it like bzz, bzz. In my brain, that was the most amazing futuristic thing I'd ever seen. Revisiting one of those like 2 years ago, I did that. Erica Griffin did like a retrospect on old phones, and I kind of joined up and did a video with her too, and TK did one too. Playing that again, it has not aged well. It is not a very futuristic kind of game. But I remember
like
when that was
Right, Twitch chat.
It's like, what I really needed was better, like ray tracing and
That's what we needed. We all wanted ray tracing. That's all we waited for.
I mean, on the third board when I'm moving the little marble around, I swear it's flipping through the wall.
I'm just trolling the Twitch chat with that one. I'm sorry.
Dude, that's how NVIDIA used to show their development every year. It was with that glowing ball rolling around with the reflections of everything. So you're right on par there. That's exactly how NVIDIA did it for the longest time with trying to show us their development. And it's one of those things you appreciate. Yes, trying to go back, maybe whip out the Note 4, your trusty old.
Ooh, yes.
And I still have my Note 4 as well somewhere in one of the boxes with that removable back.
Oh.
That is not supposed to happen. The AT&T Note 4. Oh man.
I mean, you could go even more. You could live more dangerously and whip out the Note 7 again or something.
Don't dare me, man. It's on the wall.
Did you somehow take the battery out for the safety of your family?
No, Note 7. So Note 7 was one of the. So Note 5 is when they started to do the whole non-removable battery glass slab on the front and back. So the Note 7 was in that matter where you can't take the battery out. That's the only thing you could. So I have the battery is totally depleted. I did turn it on, I think, once this year just to see if it turned on, and automatically the warning from Verizon and it just shuts down. There's just you can't use the phone. It's a relic. It is what it is, and I can't ship it anywhere. I can't, so it is. It just sits on the wall.
Now, who ended up with the Pocket Now Note 7?
Oh, I have no idea.
Because I had it.
Is that the one?
Is that
I couldn't ship it. Yeah, that's the one. I couldn't send it to anybody.
Because I couldn't send it because Samsung refused. Again, Samsung has been real ish with me and with older Pocket Now. They wouldn't send us the return kit. Remember, reviewers were getting that special box.
I had to do that for Android Authority. Yeah, I had to send it back.
So XDA got a box, which is weird.
Samsung would not send Pocket Now one. And then later when I left Pocket Now, I was saying like, hey, I know this isn't really a big deal anymore, but I should probably return this phone. And they're like, no. I mean, I got a PR person saying like, it's not really a priority for us.
I think, well, no, you didn't word it right. I think I should return this grenade back to you.
Well, at the time I was still trying to play cool because, again, the transition with me out of Pocket Now took a little time and I didn't want to make it look like we were trying to burn the channel. Like I loved my time at Pocket Now, even though I wasn't the best fit for that audience. And so I really wanted to make that kind of a smooth transition out from being on the video and then sort of slowly leaving the podcast. And I was really trying not to burn their PR. But at the time, Samsung was being super pissy with Pocket Now. And then when I left, it was like, we're not even going to return your emails. We're not even going to like write back to you at all anymore. They just went totally radio silent.
It was just like, but Note 7.
So I got stuck with it. And then so like when Pocket Now and XDA, like I've got this mountain of old phones I can't really get rid of. I'm not going to sell them. You need to take them. And that's when they like made TK come and pick up like this flat of old phones.
I had a massive color, and one of them was the Note 7. So I couldn't ship it anywhere, but I was always a big fan of it. So I did end up returning. At the time, I returned 2 different versions of them. Remember, the recall was going in 2 different stages. They recalled the first one, gave you one, and then a week later made you go back and return the second one.
Oh my god!
So I was frustrated to heck with that one. So, but when I got it back when I saw it in the box, I said, you know what? It's that same exact color, that blue with the S Pen on it. So I said, you know what? If anything, it's a collector. It's a collector item, yeah. So I decided to.
With the battery expanding.
So I mean, like seriously, from S5 to Note 7, so few of my old Samsungs have survived. I have an S6 that is like it looks like a cheeseburger. The battery is puffed so bad, the glass is pushing out of the display. Not just out of the back of the phone.
It's popping on the front. Usually, typically you'll see it swells up on the back. Yeah. Because that's usually where the batteries are.
Now, every one of my G4s and V10s from LG, all the boot looping phones, doing great. Like they all still work today.
All the boot looping phones. Well, it never happened to me either.
My Samsungs are my Galaxy S6 looks like it's ready to explode, and I've got pictures on there from when just before Marie was pregnant with Lex that I want to get off of that phone at some point. I'm going to try and get this thing repaired at some point. I've been saying that for the last year, and this wasn't the best year to. But it's just funny. Like when I talk about my personal experiences, like I've got a Galaxy S6 active, a Galaxy S7 active, a Note 5.
The active, yeah, he likes the
6.
active series.
What was the other? And one other Samsung, I can't remember.
Was the S5 active first, right? I think you had.
Oh, and I started having issues with the S5 active, but that was also kind of weird because it had a semi-removable back that didn't really protect it as well as Samsung said it would. My Rugby is doing great. If you remember the Samsung Rugby, that phone's still kicking. But my more recent middle-aged Samsungs, all dead. Literally every single one of them dead. And like the only phone from that era that still works is the S6 Edge. S6
I was gonna say
Edge or S6 Edge.
The Edge era. Oh my goodness. I will always remember the surreal feeling of sitting on a plane and the announcement on the televisions literally said, like, if you have a Galaxy, if you have a no, it wasn't even that. They were not even good at it. If you have a Samsung 7, please let one of the flights
where you were, they were asking for a different device. It's like,
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll say Note, sometimes they'll say 7.
It was a weird
Computex last year, I was flying into Taipei and they still had on the ticket counters, they still had the advisories. If you have, and it was you have a Samsung Galaxy 7.
Yeah, something like that.
Please report so that we can contain your phone in a special locker. Those phones cannot go in your check luggage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like they were still like laminated into the countertops on the airline that we were flying.
I just remember thinking, this is a really weird like blending of my worlds, because up until that point, our like other than iPhones and stuff like that, our tech world on YouTube was always sort of like, I guess you could say niche in a sense, but then it started becoming like a real everyday lexicon type thing. And here I was standing in LAX and they were asking me, do you have a Galaxy Note 7? I'm like, I have all the phones, but no. And they're like, why? And they said, well, we don't allow anymore. I was just like, whoa. The thing I said on a video is now what everyone knows. It's what everyone needs to know. So it's crazy. Oh, we're talking megapixels over here?
Yeah.
Always.
Well, a couple people on Twitch were talking about the pickle mug.
Oh, yes.
I just
The mega pickle.
Maybe, it's merch. Kind of
Plug the merch, TK.
Well, actually, no. Speaking of which, I don't know if you saw it, Josh. There's a limited edition. Oops, sorry, that doesn't want to stick on this.
It's so limited edition. We don't even have one working.
It's a prototype. It's a production unit right there. The TK AirPod Max edition, limited, super limited, on sale for $1,000.
On sale for $1,000.
Yeah,
he only needs to sell one, and he's good.
That's that Amazon sale where they show you the retail price and it's $1 less
than the actual. It
the
is
lowest price that it's ever been sold for.
Oh my God, guy! I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking when I decided to buy these.
Didn't I tell you that? Didn't I tell you that on?
You did, and I was like, to me, it was one of those. I was actually debating this or the M1, the Mac Mini. I was debating, and I went with. I don't know. I'll have to see how things go. The Mini has been proving itself to be very, very powerful. Although I'm waiting for actual Adobe support, not just the betas that's going on, because I want to make sure that it's a transition. But I would love to be able to have that run. Renders for me,
But you know what I will say, like, for anybody who's not us creatives in that sense, I still think it's such a compelling thing, because I was on a Facebook Messenger video call via Chrome, because Facebook Messenger does this funny thing where when you try to open up a video call in Safari, it says, oh, you got to use Chrome. It's really stupid. My friend and I, we caught up over 5 hours and I only depleted like 30% of that battery. It was insane. Like that was such a cool thing to see. And I thought to myself, wow, if somebody takes this to work, uses Google Drive, Google Docs, or Office 365 in the browser, they don't have to plug in once
Mm-hmm.
the entire day. That's insane.
Or actually be able to edit and render a video on a flight without actually killing the battery.
Yeah.
Those are the things but when I think of rendering and things, those are the times that I've always got frustrated on, like a 13-hour flight or an 11-hour flight, and my laptop is dead and my MSI won't charge on the port, the power port in the airplane. The only way for me to charge it would be to turn off the PC and let it sit on
trickle charge off of
charge, for a few hours, and then even then, not enough for it to even go through a render. So,
but I mean, like, I'm glad that the rest of Techland is starting to catch up to this idea that ARM instruction set computing can work, because that's exactly what got me into editing and rendering on a phone. I mean, like, first of all, you don't want to kill your battery. And you can get substantial amount of work done on a phone and still be able to use it as a phone. And then if you need to plug it in, it charges off of anything. You could bring a portable battery, you could plug into like the airline seats. It was the Huawei P10 was when I started cutting on the go. And it was just because I was kind of nervous. In my very first trip to Shenzhen, I didn't want to travel with cameras and laptops and all this extra gear. And I was going all by myself. And that entire show I covered off of the cameras on the P10, recording the VO from the mics on the P10, and editing on the P10. And like, it worked, and it was great. And I'm still putting out 4K videos.
What?
And this is a couple years back. And so ever since then, I mean, like, we've been there.
It's just while you're renting, you're like hot.
Well, yeah, it got a little toasty. Yeah, older, but
I saw somewhere where they said that your old MacBooks were also that secondary feature of your old Mac was a nice, knee warmer. So it was one of those things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but I mean, like,
when you render your video,
we've been overkill for the processing power and the power performance ratio, like how much battery you use for how much you can really accomplish, has been overwhelmingly on the ARM side for these consumer use situations for a while.
Sure.
And even pushing it to some heavy lifting, like, this isn't an unknown entity. We've been doing this. It was after I did that trip to Shenzhen. I was using the P10, and I came back and I started looking it up more as I found all the Mojo guys, all of the mobile journalism folks that are using like iPhone 5s to fully produce news reports out in the field. And you're like, yeah, we've been there. So I'm glad that Apple's kind of blown the door open. So now that more people will take it seriously, this stuff will finally start kind of trickling.
I hope so.
Yeah. But it's not like they invented it. Again, it's like,
of course,
a whole crew of people have been pushing the boundaries on what you can really accomplish from these kind of mobile devices. And now,
I love where that mindset is too, where I've always admired that about you, that you were able to like create that workflow for yourself on a smartphone and to really embrace that. Because I mean, I have these conversations with TK all the time. It's just like, we're just in the deep wells of our brains thinking, I gotta do XYZ in this fashion. And it keeps us from, when you get to the point of over analysis paralysis, it just gets to the point where you don't actually do anything.
Exactly.
Like
you're over engineering it. That's basically.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Again, I mean, like, that's also the same thing that I've been trying to tell. Like, I want to raise what it means to be an average consumer. I don't want to lower techies to a bare minimum. I'm real tired of tech reviews. It's like, well, here's this $1,200 phone. How would my Aunt Ida use this? It doesn't do anything for her. This phone isn't worth it. And you're like, well, no, what I want your Aunt Ida to do is to get more for her money. Why are we hamstringing this conversation so that those people that who don't do a lot on their phones, but continue to buy really expensive phones, are wasting their cash? And like, it's kind of spawned this, like, in my family anyway, more of my family are now moving down to like Pixel 3A, 4A type phones.
Sure.
Because there's zero reason for them to be shopping higher. But those who are looking at something a little nicer, outside of a few cousins that just are all about status flexing the most expensive iPhones that they can show off, now they're looking like, well, beyond just kind of playing a couple bubble pop games, what else could I be doing with this thing? and like legitimately showing them. You're going to reach for your phone first for the camera. You're
Mhm.
not going to pick up that nice DSLR you got nearly as often, and the footage is right there. So the workflow is actually easier. The second you're done capturing the footage, you drop it in a timeline on the same device. So the editing is a little finickier, but there's no file management. And that's one of the things that slows me down more than anything else, is like managing. I've got my A-roll and I've got this overhead and I've got my audio and I had to pull this from another source and I'm going to shoot all this B-roll and I've got to combine all of this into one project. I am so much more effective when I'm shoot, edit immediately. And there is no disruption.
Yeah.
There's no waiting. There's no downtime. I am the instant that is done, I am editing that clip and I'm putting together the video, and I'm still out in the field. Like I haven't even made it back into my office and I'm already cutting from my backyard, and I can be putting that stuff together whenever I do a walk and talk vlog. And it's like, I want that message to get out, because people have been stupid overbuying for years now. Like anytime I see someone like casually walking around with a note, I mean, like, there's so much more you could be doing with that. And like, I see you put your note down and then sit down and do your real work from like a laptop that you totally don't need, because you've got a note. You could do it. You didn't need to put the note down.
It's a lot. There's a lot of benefits into that, and I do appreciate it. So one thing I do like about the Note is the ability of precise cutting and pasting when you're doing edits directly in Power Director. For me, those are things I appreciate.
True. But the user Juan's talking about wouldn't even know that.
No,
wouldn't even recognize that portion, you know?
Well, because if you watch the commercials that Samsung puts out, they make it sound like the S Pen is a magic wand, right? It's gestures and so on. But the reality is there's a lot of things that you want to be able to have that precise function, drawing, editing, signing documents, but, just producing more. And one of the reasons why I like the next stuff.
So nice.
Signing back in the old days, NDAs, those things. It's one of those.
Even for Newegg, like I'm on a contract basis, so like every single video I've got to sign off on like an SOW for my likeness, and you're like, I never want to have to go to my computer and deal with document signing
it up and reopening. No.
Now it's also on like the V60, but it's still, now it's like, oh, I've got a phone that can just do it from there, and I can just send it right back to them.
You just gotta get your stamp, like even if it's on the
it's like,
even if it's on the phone.
I stamped on my phone screen and then I screenshotted it so I could send
I
you
used
back.
My fingerprint sensor. So, but to speak to Josh Quinones, for the longest time, was running his entire channel off of that. He would shoot, edit, and post his videos straight off of his phone. And I think that's how when I first met him, he was literally producing everything off of his phone. So there's a big thing going on with that, and I appreciate that you did a live vlogging directly out of Taipei with that one whole show where you were running gunning it.
The first show that I covered exclusively from a phone was CES on a V30. And now for trade shows, since the V30, I haven't traveled to a trade show with my full camera, light, tripod, laptop combo. Computex, I was with the Newegg team, so all of the actual product videos the Newegg folks handled, but all of our walk and talk stuff was done on the G8. So like our camera guy had this big like Blackmagic camera. I don't know why Newegg wanted like a cinema grade camera, and he was shoulder hauling that camera the whole show. For the last 3 days, we didn't tell them. We switched over to the G8, so he was just walking around with the G8 on a Gorilla Pod, one of those little light cubes. And no one noticed.
See, this is what I'm talking about. When we think too hard about what we do, it gets not that. Honestly, in some ways, that's where the burnout comes from. Because we set these expectations for ourselves.
Because we see it.
Yeah,
I know exactly what I'm looking for how my videos are screwed up.
I'm just trying to get through a backlog, man. Cut me some slack. I'm trying to get through
the eternal struggle. I'm
right there with you. Backlog. That's the only word that keeps. I wake up in the morning and I keep thinking backlog. I just want to be done. It never goes away. I keep getting more things, and the more things show up.
Honestly, like one of them is the this one right here, the 12 mini, and the main thing honestly, this I could sum it up in like a 5-second video, but of course YouTube's not gonna like me for that. I'm just gonna be like, I don't like it, and then in return, But yeah, I mean, it's just I'm kind of over. I keep coming back to TK's term. We're over engineering it. That's really how we feel. How we do our. The thing is, it's the plight of the creator. It's the way our brains work. It's just what happens. You know, you get to a certain mode and you want to like do it that way every single time. When in reality, it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, even this right now is. Like we covered so much ground in here that TK could probably like cut up this podcast into 5 different videos and have all, yeah,
exactly. Don't even put the original. Just break it up into a whole bunch of different shows and just put it up there.
So here's Josh's hot take on the iPhone 12 mini,
and in and out, and then
I don't like it, and then we're just done.
And then editing video on your mobile phone. No, exactly. And then of course there's the whole Apple bit at the beginning of it. But I do want to say this. We actually, I don't know if you guys realize this, time flies. We're at the 2.5 hour mark. I can't believe that. This was when Juan and I were talking about this. We're going to try to shoot for an hour. We're going to see how that goes. And 2.5 hours later, and many burgers and Asian snacks that I put the bag away. By the way, I did not finish it. Not to say that
I'm
people
so
thought
close to after this I might go. Like you got the true snack size one. I actually got the big bags, and I got 5 of them. So
I got 6 of these, 3 of each, because I wanted to try them on both. Right, I wasn't 100% sure the salmon was going to be my thing. The potato one kind of appealed to me the most, so I figured I'd just go with the 6. And honestly, it's addicting. It's addicting. Like I said, last bag.
JJ in the Twitch. You know what? I'll take the blame. Honestly, the moment I come in, it either turns into singing or eating, and like that's really what it usually is with me.
Right there, blame Josh.
Especially with an avatar that looks a lot like me. By the way, look at that avatar. That looks a lot like me.
Yeah, actually,
it's almost there.
Separated by birth. No, I mean, it's not like TK and I haven't gone down the like our ramen preferences.
Oh my God! Yes, no. Somebody mentioned ramen at the beginning. We could go a tangent there.
Get along because there's a shared appreciation for those types of experiences. So
absolutely,
I feel like that's what's kind of helped cement. Even though work has kind of spread us out in some weird ways, like I feel like that's the thread we can always come back to. Like I can not talk to you, Josh, for a couple months, and then be like, dude, I just got this chai, and it's phenomenal. Marie was so excited. She came home with this really boutiquey. It's like an apple cinnamon cider tea.
Yes,
and I really need to see what's in it because it's another non-caffeinated. So for me, it's the nighttime. In the mornings, I'm still a cup of coffee, and I'm trying to keep it to a cup, but I'm still a cup of coffee kind of guy. But these new like. They're not really teas because of all the different fruits and stuff that you kind of blend in. But
there's actually a word for it, but no one can say it right. It's like
I don't know what it is.
It's a tisane.
Oh, I'm not going to say that.
It's a douchey word, right?
It's a non-tea.
Non-tea.
It's a faux tea.
It's an herbal. Is really what they try to call
it. But but again, it's like that chai oolong blend that I was telling you about. It is spicy and festive and seasonal, and it's like a punch in the face, but then it finishes almost like a cider, and like it's delicious. So I mean, again, I had to share that with you because I know like, you're like literally one of the only people I know who would appreciate my fixation on but the flavors.
You got to get the flavors. You have to be able to enjoy it, and it actually just tea itself. Let it just suit that. So chrysanthemum tea is for me is also a big thing. One of those not caffeine one, but it's definitely very strong. I grew up actually drinking it when I was in Lebanon, so we had that in Lebanon, and my wife also has in Hong Kong. They also love chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum is everywhere.
Chrysanthemum's great. There's only one. There's only one reservation I always have with chrysanthemum, though, is that I want to say it's either China or Japan. I want to say it's Japan. Chrysanthemum is the flower you give during funerals. So I'm like,
it has to be Japan. Yeah,
I don't think I'm going to drink that.
No, but is there like a what's the word? Is there like a taboo?
No, there's no taboo to it. It's just I know that's the flower that's typically at funerals. And
I was going to say, I'm about to learn something really cultural here. I didn't know the consumption of a funeral flower. Does that mean? Like
it is the funeral flower, but I don't know what the meaning is behind it. But I just know that it is usually at funerals. But yeah, the tea I've been drinking the most recently, and it's actually from Chado, the place that I would take TK. A decaf, and I know everyone has a different opinion on it, but a decaf Earl Grey. If you're into Earl Grey, being able to drink it anytime is kind of dope. Like I gotta say,
So I would go with you on that, but I am so used to Earl Grey being kind of a breakfast
agreed.
experience.
Agreed.
So for me, it's like I can't drink decaf coffee at night. There's a psychosomatic experience to coffee where even before I know the caffeine is really in my system, my body associates that. Yeah, it's a lift.
Sprouting up.
And, and if I drink like an English breakfast tea or an Earl Grey later in the day, it also kind of links to that, like, oh, it's time to wake up.
Yeah, I agree.
See, I like my Earl Grey with milk, so I like milk tea.
That's what I was
with
about
Earl
to say. I put a splash of keto milk in it, and it's just like it's awesome.
Milk tea all the way.
I do that with my chamomile. I just a little dollop of an almond milk, and I know it's not really the thing, but it's a little creamy. It's real comforting. It's my chill, like time to unwind. Very much enjoy that.
TK saw the same comment I saw, I think.
Yeah. Oh man, it's one of those things. Yeah.
DTF.
Aditi is just enjoying his time. He woke up early on that one. He probably had his cup of coffee. That's the thing. See, it's morning for Aditya, so he's starting his day. So for us, milk and Earl Grey. Yes, yeah. Aditya. The thing is, for me, when it always goes back to memories. But when I was growing up, that was the way we drank our tea. When we were for kids, you would give them the tea with milk, and then we also get the cookies to be able to dip. So you actually get that nice little. You just soggy bread type of experience. I don't know what to say. It's basically a cookie that we dip into milk tea, and the cookie becomes
threw it in there and left it.
No. It's more of a dip and eat, kind of like a. I don't know how to say. It's short answer, but that's how I first started drinking tea when I was a child, and then later I would say my taste elevated to just black tea or just any kind of tea that generally no sugar. I no longer put sugar in my tea or even coffee.
I don't like sweet in my coffee or tea. Like I don't like adding a lot.
Yeah. No, I went through my stint of frappuccinos and all that other stuff with lattes and all of those things. Those things kind of they sneak up on you, but a nice cup of coffee, like a really good beans, like freshly ground, put it in a French press, set it up, let it sit there, let it build that flavor, or just do some tea in there. Any time of the day. But I try to stay away from most of it, like you are, Josh, or Juan, at the end of the day, because we can't fall asleep. But oh man, now you guys make me want to have a nice cup of milk tea.
I'm gonna go put the kettle on. I've got a delightful peppermint, not tea, but it's
Josh is done with his first glass. He hasn't.
I'm still over here like, okay, I'll just keep having my whiskey.
It's a little too late for me to pour the bourbon. But Marie. So Marie has never really been much of a drinker, but we got a Costco-sized bottle of Bullet, and at the beginning of the pandemic, and she's started getting into bourbons now.
Yes, Bullet's a good start. Bullet's a great start.
It's like my favorite. You know what I mean? It's not that it's fancy. It's not that it's got a particular flavor profile or palette or something. It's just such a good daily driver bourbon. And so we also
look at that daily driver.
He used daily driver. He finally used it. I was going to say
for average consumers.
I was about to say, how does it feel in the hand? But yeah, go ahead.
We made
pretty
some
good, TK. Pretty good. Feels pretty good in the hand, I gotta say.
Oh, you son of a bitch. But Marie finally, I got to make her first old fashioned last week, and like this is fun. I kind of like sharing this with her, even though we've already been together for so long. That like this is something we can kind of find for the first.
This one is I have been trying to get more into the bourbons just to give a little bit of that give it a little bit of that toast to the American side of things, because I normally go for Japanese whiskeys. That's just my go-to these days. This is Four Roses. Four Roses is actually pretty good.
Four Roses is solid. I do like Four Roses.
I'm actually, this is my first time having Four Roses, and I made sure to. Okay, I do get, like the select, the slightly higher up. But it's really good. So I'm into it. Yeah,
I
David's tea
like.
shops in California. Steve, yes, David's tea is great. My only problem
David's
with the
tea is good
big
times.
my only problem with the big chain ones is that they go hard on the sweetness sometimes. That's my only problem with chain tea shops. Um, I'll never forget, and even though I do drink out of a mug from Tijuana, the thing I
Mhm.
hated about Tijuana is that all of the teas they would have you sample were just straight up rock sugar. It was just all
Yeah.
rock sugar. So of course it tastes good, and it's also it's a tiny rant. I kind of hate how the term tea is so associated with like sweetness and boba. When people in California or New York say, "Hey, let's go get some tea," they actually mean boba, and I'm so sick of that. I'm
It's
so sick of it. Like
But
someone comes up to you and say, "Let's go get some tea," and they what they mean is, "Let's go to
let's go
Tapioca
get
Express and get
and
a
get some boba
freaking
tea.
mango slush." Like, no, that's not tea.
Oh,
I know what
lychee
you mean with
bing. Oh
Ivana,
man.
where it's almost like the Pepsi challenge. Like you walk by the Tevana and you take the little paper cup sample and it's a zing in that one little sip, but I've never enjoyed finishing an actual beverage. Like it's kind of a cloying sweet by the time you're done with it. And again, since some of our very first conversations about tea, now I'm the guy who's really trying to find sort of like spicier, more herbal, more
Nice.
fragrant
Mhm.
varietals. Like I want a potpourri that you just dunk in a glass of hot water. And that has become kind of the exciting thing. Like there are so many opportunities for me to find sweet. And let's say I don't enjoy like a good sugarcane cola from time to time,
Oh yeah.
but now
It's
I want
just
something a bit more
it was just so
complex.
frustrating when I think back on it. Like you buy the tea that you think is going to be really good, and they never ever. And Rolando's right. They went bankrupt. Even with
Yep.
Oprah's backing, they went bankrupt.
I thought
Tivana.
the Tevana name had just been, weren't they bought up by Coffee Bean?
Starbucks actually. I think it was
Oh,
Starbucks that
okay,
brought it.
okay.
That took it in. But yes, they. What was I going to say a second ago? Oh yeah, when you would buy from their locations, you were like, "Oh, I'm going to love this tea," and as you're buying it, they never tell you that in order to get the same flavor, you have to buy this particular sugar or to put this much in it. They never tell you. It's just the miseducation of tea was always. I'm ranting about tea, guys. The miseducation was just something that I always had like literally a bad taste in my mouth. That was really what it was. Shouts out to Jim, by the way, in the Twitch chat. I just want, I'm not trying to trigger anybody by having a cup of whiskey on the show.
Yes. No.
I just want to make sure you know
33
that.
years clean, definitely a
Yes.
very. Also, just kind of a point of reference, I actually don't drink, so for me, I'm enjoying this conversation between the two of them. This is just going. My drink of choice is a Diet Coke on any day, any night, anytime we used to go out. So
Well,
it is.
and Josh, and I feel like you can share this sentiment with me, is like I stopped drinking to get drunk a
Yeah.
long time ago. Like after power booting up Goldschlager in college one night, stopped like trying to get inebriated. And to
I do
me,
miss a good Malibu rum though.
for Kraken, I like,
Okay.
but again,
Kraken.
a good
Mountain
solid
Dew.
spicy.
Mountain Dew.
But the thing that, you know, the reason why I get into trouble with liquor isn't because of, you know, like the altered state of mind that I'm trying to achieve. It's because I'm now treating it like any other completionist hobby that I have, and it's like I'm looking for complexity. I don't drink wine to get loose. I drink wine because I like Malbec, and it's a punch in the mouth, and it's a bold, inky grape. And I want to talk about like the notes of dirt and grass that you get in this wine. You know, like like I can't just let it go. Like I can't just enjoy like a tasty bourbon with my wife. I'm like, oh well, off the tip of the tongue, you've got this kind of salty, but then it's almost like a Speyside Irish. But then what you really want to get is something that's got kind of an earthier, and I want it to finish smooth. I don't want it to burn on the way. And so it's all of that douchebag experiential. I need to complete the experience, and it pairs with this food, and it complements this media, and it's all just a mess.
It took all of 1 year for me to get to that point. I remember turning 21, and I was partying with my friends in college a lot, and it was always beer pong, natty light, all that stuff. It was just disgusting swill. And
Hey, can you like just think about where we are today, and then just think about playing beer pong?
You know what? I will say this though.
Oh, hold on. Let me just dunk this ping pong ball in a little cup of water to clean it off.
Yes, that's very true. That's very, very true. I remember doing all of that, and what I noticed after a year was like there were so many nights where I would wake up and feel bad about what the drink made me do the night before, like just the way I would act. But then I would actually I would compare those to the nights where I had one of these in my hand and just sit on the side sipping. That man, compared to the previous one, got way more respect. And I was like, I'm gonna go with the respect route. But
it's the same thing. Like when we're at one of those like mixers or like a Pepcom or a Showstopper. Yeah. I'm good on a bourbon, like for the whole night. That's like the one thing, and I can just walk around with it, and I feel like I'm having something that's just a little nice to kind of medicate and take the edge off, but it's not gonna mess me up.
No better way to describe 2020 drinking right there. Just to take the edge off. It's the nightcap. It is what it is. And it doesn't even have to be alcohol. It's just anything. Something. Just like the nightcap.
Exactly. Just get the day ending right.
I texted Marie to put the kettle on so I could have a peppermint tea. Because I feel like we probably should wrap this up here at some point.
Sure.
Well, so we're doing something groundbreaking even for Juan and I, because we're almost at the breaking 3 hours. We're not at the hour and a half to 2 hours, which is fun. But that's the cool
90
thing.
minutes when we started, but
we
wasn't
said many things when we started it.
Well, I mean, I hope 3 is a party, and I really wanted to give you guys my gratitude for having me on.
No, dude,
regardless of my presence doubling the runtime.
It's all good, and we were glad to have you.
Always
the best. I mean,
yes, no, dude.
SoCal
definitely.
Crew, cheers to all of you.
Salud.
I'm empty. I ran it. I actually slow sipped this thing for almost 3 hours. It's one of those, and I do have to say that Aditya is also with me on Camp Diet Coke. Thank you, Aditya. I love you, man. For me, it's just the energy to keep going. You go back to the hotel at the end of the day at CES, and your day's not over. It's your editing / rendering / posting time is what happens. So
if you shoot and edit on a phone. If you shoot and edit on a phone, then you don't edit in your hotel room.
I've done CES incorrectly many times, but I can say this. This year's 2020 CES was my most efficient CES because I actually had at least the ability of accessing certain things ahead of time. So before things were supposed to be, it's not like I had to shoot it during the day. I go to the show floor, go back home and do it. So because of the little bit of, I would say, improvements over the years, I felt like I was a little bit more prepared. So it felt a little bit easier because I typically take the family with me just for reference. I always have my wife and my son. They love going to Vegas. So during the day, we spend the time together. Nights, I go hang out with you guys. We go do all of our stuff. And that was it. Yeah, I agree with you, Juan. I think the reality of the matter is there is no reason for us to carry it, at least for the things that they are doing or they're offering. There's really no reason for the full production, the full studio effect to come with you. Yeah.
Or even then, we just need to get to a point where, because that is honestly why I'm excited about what the M1 has provided and the Pro 13, because we all have had the thick 2Cs, thick gaming laptops, and trying to.
I still have mine sitting under my desk. I mean, I don't use it anymore because of the creator, but I rocked the MSI for so long that once I went for the Acer the Concept D, it's like a whole difference. And that's why I told you, go for the 4K. If you're gonna go for that laptop, go for the 4K. Don't go for the high refresh. Go for the higher quality so that you can.
Talking truth. I learned the hard way.
But this is also, again, I mean, I'm always infuriated that it seems to only come when Apple does something that we can take it seriously in the market.
I agree with you there. If the G14 had not already done it at the beginning of this year, it's just it didn't get enough play. Asus needs to make the G14 for work.
Mhm.
not just for gaming. They need to make that thing for work, and I think that's the only thing that needed to happen. And then of course, M1
And
as
it's a
well.
very and you're right because it's a very minor distinction. I mean,
Mhm.
it's some small aesthetic changes and just a couple feature and IO the port differences, and I'm right there with you. Again, like we could have been having this conversation earlier than this, but now that Apple has finally decided to disrupt part of their product line with something that they can control even more, I'm hoping that this means that developers are going to start taking the software approach more seriously. Like we can turn old Windows laptops into Chrome OS now.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, you could always do that with the Linux build. You could always throw Linux on any old PC and bring
Right,
it back to life.
but Google actually bought one of those companies that kind of specializes in delivering the OS package so that they can do that conversion. I can't remember what the name of
Oh, you're talking about Remix OS.
No, it's like
Ooh.
Neverwhere.
Just
Was it?
just a little
But anyway,
salute to Remix.
Yeah. Same here.
Another topic that's going to be a longer conversation, but just to what Josh was saying, it's like now that we finally have some traction there, the tools we've already had. I mean, my ability to line up multiple tracks of video, stabilize video, color correct, chroma key, keyframe, all of that is already here. Like I can already do this on a phone. So really, it should just be getting better for tablet workflow, smartphone workflow. You know, the software stack between a device running an M1 versus an A14, much smaller differences for developers to support. So I have high expectations by the end of next year that this is now percolating and this is now sort of making its way through. And it's not just a token effort from Adobe to kind of support 2 Android phones that more companies will really be taking.
Imagine how many bug reports they get even now and how many they're going to get after.
Are you guys still doing anything with Adobe? I'm
No.
editing in Resolve. I'm my photos are
I,
now.
I haven't switched away. Unfortunately, I think that's where I'm on the last lead.
Actually, not Premiere. I'm off Premiere. I'm on Resolve now, and really the only one it's Lightroom and Audition. Those are really the only two.
And I
I'm
do
still
use
on
Lightroom.
Sony software for audio. I'm still on SoundForge. I
Nice.
just can't give up SoundForge. But for photos, I moved over to Affinity. It's really good. And the workflow on raw files is stupid fast. And it does the thing that I really love where I can open the program and then just drag and drop a raw file without having to like import. And it's just like any other sort of just like cheesy, cheap photo editor. And it just always bugged me that Adobe made me go through this like importing process.
Yeah.
I don't even have to do that now.
I was gonna say we're not wedding photographers. We're not like we don't do that anymore. Like even to the other point, like we don't work at publications anymore to the point where we build those galleries, right? So I would say like shouts out to one of our homies, Danny Wingett. He actually revealed to me one day when I asked him, "Hey, what do you use?" Because I'm trying to get away from the Adobe He was like, "Actually, I just take the photo and put it in Snapseed." I was like,
"Yeah,
Snapseed."
That's it.
Oh, I do a ton on Snapseed. The only time I need to stray from Snapseed is when I need slightly better noise reduction. So if I'm trying to just kind of smooth out some grain, and otherwise it's just so fast. But for now on my phones, when I'm looking at that, it's Photomate. So Photomate doesn't require a subscription service, and you can do batch raw processing.
Oh,
so
okay.
Even then, it's like it's feature parity with Lightroom. And I don't need to pay for Creative Cloud. $300 once. It was a $10 app, and ooh boy, that's expensive. But I bought it once, and now I just own it. So
it's one of those things you have to try. So I will download Resolve over the holiday, maybe between Christmas and New Year. I want to run a couple of
bro.
Well, so it's free for this. There's different levels, but yes, I agree that it's free to use.
Like 4K video rendering with no watermark. I mean, you just don't get GPU compute. And even without GPU compute, it was giving Premiere a run for its money.
Which is fair, but the GPU, I know TK is going to feel the pinch. He wants that GPU.
No, so it gets better. You can start and have like nearly full access to the editing suite that you already have. It's like no commitment.
No, that's what I know. I know that it's more a time commitment than anything. It's not the commitment to the software. It's the between Cyberpunk, Miles Morales, Warzone, between all of the different between the new channel that apparently I'm launching at the end of 2020, which is called the TK Headphone Reviews, aka
Nice.
LFATK, because that's how it looks like.
LTK reviews. I mean, that's not culturally insensitive to my people at all. That's fine, TK.
Yeah. You got to remember, Arabic people have the L in the beginning too. We have that too. So it's not all your
steal our meat preparation techniques from Lebanon.
We have a lot of history. There's a lot of Middle Eastern presence in the in many countries, but Lebanon is it's weird. It's such a small country, but it's known around the world. That's the only thing I could say.
I'm gonna say I need to go. So.
We're finally there, guys.
We are there. We are. I do want to say first and foremost,
let this get to 3 hours.
We're gonna have. We'll have it. We'll end it now. No. Thanks to everybody for joining in. Of course, I want to say thank you very much to Josh for jumping in, which is a nice little surprise in the in the chat, and of course joining us, and of course to Senor, some gadget guy, some LG chill guy. Some chamomile tea guy. Sorry.
It's steeping now.
It's steeping now. It's ready.
It's going to be fine.
Sleepy time. No. I want to say thank you very much. And I hope you guys have a great Christmas, Merry Christmas, and happy holidays to everybody. And I hope you guys have a safe and happy Christmas with family. That's basically the best way I would probably say it. Stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully we'll all get through this and we'll have better days. That's basically the best way I can say it.
There you go.
You got some bright lights on the horizon, so be safe and take care.
Yeah, with that, have a good night, you guys. We'll see you guys, Juan and I, hopefully next week. And I'm not sure what time we'll see, but we'll figure that part out. Good night, everybody. And thanks for everybody in the chat. Bye-bye.